Haiti is descending into chaos. There is a cannibal gang led by a man called Barbecue that apparently is now in control of the country. And the reason why this is important, well, normally the politics of Haiti don't matter all that much to us here in the United States. We care more about what's affecting us in terms of our economy and immigration. It matters because of what they said to Donald Trump several years ago when he said that Haiti and El Salvador were ishhole countries. Yeah, we're not going to swear here. We're not going to swear, but you get my point. Now, we don't know if Trump actually said this, but that was the claim. The interesting thing about the story, El Salvador decided to elect Nayib Bukele. He immediately declared a state of emergency and began arresting gang members. Today, El Salvador is one of the safest countries in the Western Hemisphere, the safest in Latin America. And the people of El Salvador are remigrating. They're coming back to their home country, and they're experiencing tremendous wealth, especially since the country switched to Bitcoin as their currency, and Bitcoin is now at a new record high of $72,000. On the other hand, there's Haiti that liberals and Democrats said was already great. Conan O'Brien went there and celebrated at a resort. The liberals all put on their Haiti is great already t-shirts. And now it's being run by a cannibal who eats people not for sustenance. We got to clarify here. He is not a sustenance cannibal. He is a shock cannibal. Yes, he eats his victims, parts of them, to scare other people into submission. I'm not exaggerating. Now, when Donald Trump says this, and when Nayib Bukele says that he's going to crack down on gangs, what did the media do? The media called him an authoritarian. The media called Trump crazy. So I ask you, which world do you want to live in? That's why that story is so important right now. We'll talk about that. Plus, Joe Biden has apologized for calling Laken Riley's murderer illegal. But he did not apologize for calling her Lincoln Riley, nor did he talk to the family, nor did he, he in essence apologized to the criminal murderer. And that is the perfect example. Dave Smith had a great tweet saying this represents this country so well, that the president would apologize to the murderer for calling him illegal and not to the family for saying the name incorrectly. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, we got a bunch of other news. Lo and behold, the New York Times is now reporting, you know that story where Donald Trump lunged over and tried to grab the steering wheel? Yeah, that was a lie. New testimony reveals. And surprise, surprise, we all knew it was a lie, but now they're reporting it. That's the news cycle. They lie, and then they wait a little bit to tell the truth when no one's paying attention. So we're going to talk about that. But my friends, before we get started, head over to castbrew.com if you want to try the best cup of coffee you've ever had. We are totally sold out of Appalachian Nights because even when we reorder it, it just sells out instantly again. So thank you guys so much for supporting our coffee business and buying our coffee from us. But I do recommend Stand Your Grounds. It is very comparable to Appalachian Nights, though it's a medium roast. And of course, Rise with Roberto Jr. is available. When you buy from castbrew.com, you're also supporting our physical locations, soon to be locations. I misspoke. But we're going to have a monthly event in Martinsburg, West Virginia at our Cast Brew location. We did one already just this past week. It was great fun to see everybody who came down, sold tickets, members only. If you're a member at timcast.com, go to timcast.com, click join us. We will send out emails once the event is ready. So you never know. You got to be watching your email and you got to look for the emails, and it's members only. It's private. This is why we're doing it this way, because it's a private event, not open to the public. It's just if you're a member, we'll send out those emails and then you can buy tickets and coming out. But as a member at timcast.com, you'll get access to our uncensored show coming up tonight at 10 p.m. You don't want to miss it. They're always good fun and not so family friendly. I recommend it. And as a member, you are helping to support this show because we are primarily supported by memberships. And with all that being said, my friends, 2 days ago, this Saturday, it was my birthday. And I couldn't help but notice none of you got me birthday presents. And, you know, it really hurt. But I'll get over it if you become a member at timcast.com. I'm kidding, by the way. If you want to give me a birthday present, go to timcast.com, click join us, become a member. It is greatly appreciated. It's what runs the company and allows us to do everything that we're doing. And I am eternally grateful to everybody who's a member. You will also get access to the Discord server where you can hang out with like-minded individuals. And of course, watch the uncensored members only show. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with all of your friends right now. Just post it everywhere. And joining us tonight to talk about this and everything else is Kara McKinney.
Hi, thanks so much for having me back, Tim.
Yeah, who are you? What do you do?
So my name is Kara McKinney. I host Tipping Point on One America News. I've been doing that almost 4 years now. I've been with the company almost 7 years. You can find us on the OAN Live app. You can find us on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, pretty much everywhere where everyone, I've gotten this from some people. They'll say, I thought you guys got taken down, that you're not a company, you're not a thing anymore. No, we're still on TV. We're still on the interwebs where You can find us, I swear.
Right on. Thanks for hanging out. Should be fun. We got
Thank
Hannah
you.
Claire hanging out.
Hey, I'm Hannah Claire Brimlaw. I'm a writer for SCNR.com. It's a fantastic team. You can follow us at Timcast News on the internet. And Shane's here.
What's up?
Hey, man.
It's good to be here. Happy belated birthday to Tim. Happy birthday to our editor-in-chief, Cassandra. We were just talking before we went live about time being a psyop. So I'm here to just remind everyone that daylight savings time is part of a demoralization campaign and seasonal depression is fake. And I love OAN, so it's awesome to be here with you.
Same.
Yeah.
What's up, Serge?
Yeah, time sucks. I hate daylight savings time. It's the worst. Yeah, I'm Serge. I'll see you guys.
And on my
yeah.
birthday, too.
Unbelievable. It's a psyop on you.
It is.
They
all of
took
this.
time away from your
So-
birthday.
Yep.
That's a hate crime.
The next day, but next year, daylight savings time is literally on my birthday, March 9th. Yeah, so I
Hate
woke
crime.
up on Sunday and I was like, it's 10:30? And I was like, wow, I slept late. Because like on Sundays, I might sleep in a little bit. Man, I've never slept that late before. And then I sat up and went, no, I get it. All right, let's talk about the news. ABC News says Haiti's most notorious gang leader plots its future amid rebellion. Jimmy Cherizier, is that how you pronounce it? Cherizier?
Yes.
Who is known as Barbecue, spoke with ABC News. Really? The most prominent leader behind the ongoing armed rebellion in Haiti has a simple message for the country's leader. Acting Prime Minister Ariel Henry stepped down and the violence ends, at least temporarily. Oh, okay, well, temporarily. Now, look, it's really, really crazy there. I'm terrified for the people who live there. It's getting really bad with these gangs. This guy, Barbecue, they call him, has been seen in a viral video eating people. And it's important you know, he is not a sustenance cannibal. He is not eating people because he's hungry. He's eating them to scare you. That's
Fear
legit.
tactic cannibalism.
It is. He kills people, burns them alive, and then eats parts of their flesh and makes people, and so he can show people and they're terrified of him. We have this from the Hindustan Times, because here's the crazy thing. Most news outlets pulled the story. It was wild. Throughout the weekend, cannibal gangs left and right in Haiti. And then this morning, all of those stories are gone. And it's weird. But Hindustan Times, which is NewsGuard certified, I might add, we're very careful here, says, does viral video show Haitian gang eating human body parts? Yes. The important thing to understand is that the video that's going around was 2 years old. It was not related to what's going on literally today with right now, but it is part of the same conflict. For the past several years, Haiti has been in absolute disarray. Now, here's where the fun kicks in. You may be saying, I don't know what you're talking about with Haiti. Haiti is not America. Why do we care? Well, first of all, I think the estimates are like 100,000 Haitian migrants have been allowed in unvetted through the southern border. So there is concern there. There are 700,000 Haitian refugees. And this makes sense because they're literally fleeing a guy named Barbecue who eats people. So like you're going to find refugees, right? But let me get into the politics of it so you can understand why we're talking about Haiti. If you go back in time to 2018, NBC News reported Trump referred to Haiti and African nations as ish-hole countries. We're not swearing. That's what we don't swear here. But, you get the point. Trump referred to African countries, Haiti and El Salvador, as ish-hole nations during a meeting Thursday and asked why the U.S. can't have more immigrants from Norway. I will just answer that real quick because Norway's not so bad. And sure, we can have more immigrants from Norway, but there's not that many people who want to leave. Here's where we kick into high gear. We have this tweet from End Wokeness. Thinking about when Trump called Haiti an ish-hole country, and the propaganda regime pretended it's the best place on earth. Here's Conan O'Brien's tweet. Show your support for the people of Haiti with a Haiti is great already t-shirt. Here's why it's so messed up. This was January 30th, 2018, when Conan O'Brien did this. Conan O'Brien, January 21st, 2018, posted a photo from Haiti at a heavily armed, secure resort. At this time, the conflict had already begun. There had already been a massacre, and there was gang conflict and murder, and it was getting worse. And everyone knew this, and that's why I imagine Trump got briefed on this and said, what an ish-hole. And then what happens? Bill Maher, Conan O'Brien, Susan Sarandon, and I doubt they're the only ones, wearing t-shirts that say, Haiti is great already. Trump was right when he criticized that country. He was right to question whether or not we should allow people from Haiti into the United States, considering the degree of violence. And more importantly, they mentioned that he called El Salvador an ish-hole nation. Well, we have this from NPR. El Salvador's popular but authoritarian president declares election victory. When El Salvador elected Nayib Bukele, you had these two countries Haiti, gang violence. You see where it is now. El Salvador, gang violence, very dangerous, lots of murder. Nayib Bukele declared a state of emergency and began arresting gang members and gang leaders, shutting down gang activity. And the media in the United States attacked him. They called him authoritarian. They called him a despot. They said Trump likes dictators. El Salvador today is. Let me say this. They say. Let me read what they say. Nayib Bukele has surprised no one by claiming a landslide victory in Sunday's presidential election. The contest was dominated by debate over this trade-off of between national security and democracy. They say Nayib Bukele declared victory. He's hugely popular in Latin America because of his crackdown on gangs. This country, according to Emily Green, Bukele has transformed El Salvador. Using a repressive state of emergency, Bukele has eviscerated the country's powerful street gangs. El Salvador is now ranks among the safest in the Western Hemisphere, a remarkable feat for a country that only recently was one of the world's most violent. Here's the big takeaway. This is an extended intro because the segment is so important in my opinion. While many people, again, are probably like, I don't care about El Salvador. I don't care about Haiti. We were told by Trump, these two countries are not good in a manner of speaking. And we don't know that he actually said it. We got Nayib Bukele's model. We're going to arrest the gangs. We're going to shut down the criminals. We're going to lock them all up. And the corporate press in America attacked this man for it. They said Haiti was great already. Now I ask you, which country do you want to live in? Because we very much are facing that question this year in November. Support the uniparty establishment elites who would have you living in Haiti, where a cannibal eats people, or you can support Donald Trump, who's more aligned with the likes of Nayib Bukele, who'll crack down on the criminals, the gangs, and let you live peacefully so you can raise your family, so you can live well and live responsibly. Which country do you guys want to live in?
I just want to say that if you go back and look at that picture of Conan O'Brien in Haiti, that was taken directly after eating a meal prepared by the man named Barbecue. And
that's why I'm so happy.
If you think that you might not care about Haiti, but if you think that the Clintons are evil, degenerate thugs, I would really look into Haiti and what they've done to that place. Because, in my opinion, I think Haiti should be added to the Clinton list of victims. If you go back and look at what Bill Clinton did with the rice and destroying the rice crops in Haiti, he apologized for that. That's on video. You can look it up. Like the earthquake happened that we all know about. Who took care of the earthquake? The Clinton Foundation. What happened with the trailers that the Clinton Foundation sent? They were filled with dangerous amounts of formaldehyde. The same dangerous formaldehyde-filled trailers that were sent to the victims after Hurricane Katrina. And then Hillary went down there and helped get someone elected. And then people in Haiti said, these are fraudulent votes. They said there's thousands and thousands of zombie votes, they were calling it. So yeah, and this is my other favorite part. Bill Clinton, when he was rebuilding Haiti, called it building back better. So yeah, maybe we're there almost.
Omen of good times.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Haiti is this is very selective praise. Like when people are saying, hey, the violence is bad. Hey, indulgence, cannibalism, not so good. People are like, how could you say this to them? But when they had a completely zero COVID vaccination rate, which all the progressives I knew were like, you must get vaccinated. No one was like, Haiti, what are you doing? I mean, Haiti's been in chaos for a long time. Let's never forget when their prime minister was assassinated a few years ago, 2021. There was a time when two people had declared themselves the new leader of Haiti and no one really knew. And I guess Ariel Henry won out ultimately. But it's not a place that I would want to live. And it's so bad that I feel like global elites keep Haiti around to say, look, things could always be worse. We could be Haiti, which is...
Look what we did to Haiti. Don't you not like this?
Right. It's like we're not, you think it's bad here, but in Haiti, there are street cannibals who don't need it. They're not like old-timey sailors lost at sea acting out of desperation. This guy's like, I'm making a point. My name is Barbecue. I am here to roast my victims.
I've been thinking about Barbecue a lot today because he's 47 and he must have been probably in early 30s when the earthquake happened. So he's inherited this world getting older. And now he's like, I'm just taking over. Former police officer. I own this place now.
I'm sorry, though, but like when you are eating people, you're the bad guy.
Oh, he's a bad guy for sure. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm saying that this is what happens.
I'm not saying you're saying, but like in his mind, he's
in his mind, he's a helper. He's helping out.
That's right.
And I'm going to scare you people from coming here.
But he's not acting solo, right? Like he's leading a gang of other people who are like, this Barbecue guy is making some good points over here.
He's funded by Hillary
Clinton. That's how bad their government is, where they're like, look, maybe if we just hang out with barbecue for a while.
The U.S. Marines went in to evacuate the embassy. Are we going to start airdropping food into Haiti?
Well, they already have people, so barbecue's fine.
No. This is the point. Haiti has collapsed. They're not going to be getting food, and nothing's going to come in.
Yeah.
If we do not send food in, or are we? If external food is not sent to Haiti, cannibalism will become sustenance cannibalism.
Weren't they trying to get Kenya, the government of Kenya, involved? I
Yeah,
think the U.S.
they were.
government was sending a lot of money. I think another big point to be made here, though, is I don't know who, maybe one of you guys know where the quote originates from, but the idea that decline is a choice. And I think between El Salvador and Haiti, I think that really proves it to us that decline is a choice in the left. They want us to, I mean, that's part of the wokeism idea, I believe, at least in my mind, is to get us psyoped into believing that, you know, as our quality of life continues to drop, especially economically, but in other ways as well, especially with what we can and can't say, that they want us to just think, well, this is just the way the world is, just accept it. And we're actually making these choices to save the environment, to end racism, whatever these decisions are, whatever they say. Go ahead.
What is the likelihood that, let's say Trump gets elected, and then he says the far left extremists and the gangs, you're being arrested. What's the likelihood that people in this country would defend those individuals?
The thing is, he could say it. He might tweet it if he goes back on X. So he'd probably say it on Truth Social, but I just don't think it could physically actually happen as much as I'd want it to. One thing in Haiti that these criminal gangs are doing is they're opening up all the prisons, right? And they're sending all the prisoners out. Very, very dangerous because
like
anarcho-tyranny.
Yeah,
Exactly.
At the beginning of COVID, we did the same
exactly.
thing.
Because the idea of anarcho-tyranny, right? When you destroy everything through anarchy for enemies of the regime or perceived enemies, for friends of the regime, then you get tyranny for the supposed enemies, us. So you break everything first. And when everything's so broken, you can't just live in the rubble. You got to rebuild somehow. And oh, look, the left has positioned themselves to rebuild it all.
You have to destroy everything to build back.
In New York, they're deploying the National Guard into the subway after they chose to release these criminals without bail. And they went, oh, geez, look at all the crime. And here's another point in this story. I will stress this again because you must repeat this to your friends in casual conversation politely. Trump said Haiti and El Salvador were bad. Allegedly. El Salvador says it's time to arrest gangs. Haiti says whatever. Liberals told you Haiti was fine. And now El Salvador, and they criticized El Salvador, and look which country is better. In New York, they deploy the National Guard because the crime has gotten so bad. A story the other day, a woman was shoved in front of a train and her legs were severed.
Right.
The guy had schizophrenia. He was a criminal. He was a known criminal. He had been in prison earlier for stabbing a 3-year-old. He was on parole. He was arguing with his girlfriend and he shoved her in front of the train. When we were talking about the escalation of crime in New York last year, all of these corporate press outlets ran stories saying there is no crime in New York. They're lying. So how is it now that the governor has called in the National Guard? I will say this again. Everything they are telling you is a lie to destroy your life. As Alex Jones put it, they are laying bear traps, telling you where they are, and if you step in it, it's your fault. We knew New York had crime because it was in the news. We saw the videos. People, I think 24 people in 1 year shoved in front of trains. And, maybe 24 is not a lot for a town of 10 million using the subways. But there was other crimes. There was that college girl who got beaten to death or whatever. Was it where she stabbed in near Columbia, I believe. We knew the crime was bad. And while we were saying this crime is out of hand, the corporate press was saying there's no crime wave. Republicans are lying. Several months later, the governor says, state of emergency. I need the National Guard because crime is so bad. They were lying. Yeah. That's the world that we're living in right now. They lie about it all and they want to burn this country down.
And they're willing to sacrifice you. I mean, ultimately, they don't want there to be crime because they want their progressive policies to seem like they're working, right? This was the case with Jordan Neely, who Daniel Penny, held down on the subway. He had a history of being arrested. He had been in state foster care. He had documented mental health issues. He had broken a 67-year-old woman's jaw on a subway platform. He was known to the state, and also when they were like, please come to rehab, come to mental health counseling, he was like, no thanks, I'm just going to stand over here and commit more crimes. I mean, their systems, their policies failed, and they let the innocent people around this dangerous person pay the price. I'm not saying he didn't have his own demons. I'm just saying their policies of we're offering state-funded help didn't work over and over again.
We are very close to the rise of vigilantes. I mean, like, I wouldn't, superhero comics is silly. And we had, was it Phoenix Jones in the Pacific Northwest like 10 years ago or whatever? And that was silly. But now crime's gotten so bad, what's going to happen is, I want you to imagine this scenario. Guy in a subway screaming he's going to kill people. Dude sitting in the back thinks, I got to do something about this. Oh, wait, I'll go to prison if I try to stop this guy. So he takes his shirt, takes it off, folds it to make a ninja mask, runs up, beats the crap out of the violent guy to save the passengers, subdues the guy, and then when the doors open, flees, and no one saw his face and knows what his name is. The passengers say, this man saved our lives. News reports all across city, masked vigilante stops violent man in subway. Protesters get angry and say, we can't allow this. They call for justice, but no one knows who the guy is. So there's no arrest and no one knows anything about what happened. Now imagine what actually happened. Penny said, I'm going to save these people and stop this guy. And everyone saw his face and he waited to give a statement and now he's going to go to prison. So with that happening, I fear we're dangerously close to the point where as crime grows in these cities and criminal aliens, for instance, the Lake and Riley stuff, you will just get people who say, first, I think it'll be more accidental. A guy sees someone robbing a store at gunpoint. And so he just grabs a ski mask from his car, puts it on, and then cracks the guy over the head. The Home Depot video where I don't know if you guys saw this. Some dude's got a shopping cart full of power tools and they're yelling at him, knock him over, and they beat the crap out of him. And they're like, because of you, it's costing more for us. Okay, well, those guys, we talked about this when it happened. We were like, those guys might go to prison because the cops are going to be like, well, you assaulted a guy. You didn't know, right? How were you? You didn't know that he was a criminal. So what's going to happen next? People are going to put on masks. And then don't be surprised if after a few months of this, someone literally puts on a Spider-Man mask. Not to run around and be Spider-Man, but it's because it's a mask. And then you'll get the New York City Spider-Man vigilante. Here's the thing. If cops aren't enforcing any of the laws, they ain't going to enforce the laws against these guys either. It's just going to descend into vigilantism, chaos, which will likely result in the emergence of gangs of some sort.
And the tyrants that are running the country right now are going to say that those are the real bad guys. The vigilantes are the actual bad ones. You need to watch out for those people, not the mostly peaceful murderers.
But this is why they'll do it. Look, Jordan Neely in the subway was threatening to kill people. Mm-hmm. He's the bad guy. Daniel Penny subdued him, and in the process, Neely died. Right. Now they're trying to put Penny in prison. But the people there say he saved their lives. So they will come out and they'll be like, these vigilantes are wrong, and the people will clap and cheer. You guys remember the subway vigilante? What was the 80s, right? In New York?
Yeah.
The crime was so high. Some guy had a gun. He claims these dudes were trying to rob him, and he shot him. And then I guess, they claimed they weren't robbing him. They were panhandling or something like that. And he panicked and overreacted. I think they were probably robbing him. I don't know. I think it was before I was born. But it was huge news. The subway vigilante. And people in New York were cheering for it. So we're at the point now where I think the reason why people will start wearing masks and engaging in vigilante violence is because some crazed guy will go in and commit a crime somewhere. And when the vigilante stops him, far left activists will say he murdered this innocent man. They'll say this poor man was sick. That's why he was threatening to kill people. That's what they said about Neil. He was sick. Mm-hmm. He didn't deserve to die.
And with Penny, he spoke to the police. He gave a statement. The police released him. Then there was this outrage. They blocked the subway platforms. They marched across the bridge, and suddenly they had to get Penny. Penny surrendered himself to the police because there had been this outrage where the New York state government was suddenly like, no, we are going to press charges against him because you guys are mad about it.
And imagine if you can take a t-shirt and fold it into a ninja mask. Have you ever seen how to do that? They're fun. It's fun. Imagine if he did that instead. And then when the train came to a stop, he just fled. The activists would scream. There was a murder. Everyone would say, wow, I wonder what happened. And that would be the end of it. And Penny would be sitting in his living room, smoking a cigar and drinking a beer with a bowl of nachos in front of him, not thinking anything. I don't want this to go this way. It shouldn't, but that's where we're going because cops are siding with the bad guys.
You say the subway vigilante was in the early 80s that you were referencing earlier?
I think I can check it out.
Because that's interesting, just thinking of how the city was in the 70s. It was total chaos. It was on fire all the
1984.
time.
I was not even alive.
So it was in a bad spot. And honestly, when COVID started, I started thinking of what could happen with the economy because my grandfather was a cop in the city in the 70s. And
Bernie Getz.
Oh, yeah. His stories were crazy. he would talk about just corpses every day. On my dad's side of the family, they were all firefighters in the city, and then Berkowitz was happening. So just thinking of that and like the chaos a city descends into for someone like that to emerge, and then that makes sense if it's the early 80s after the 70s happens. And
Yep.
we're going there.
Bernard Getz. They called him Bernie Getz. I remember seeing, I think Seinfeld did a parody of it. I wasn't alive when it happened, so.
What year is it?
1984.
Oh, yes, before.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot also about our culture. It's something I noticed with like the first few rounds of BLM in 2014, 2015. Then, of course, what we saw with the BLM/Antifa riots of 2020 that continued into 2021. And then the cases that have come out since, that it seems that the public by and large, so I am just generalizing here, I don't know specific numbers, but it seems that people are more, and I think this kind of goes back to a social illness that we have, a societal illness, because I'm a very deep social conservative, that it's easier to get people to side with criminals than it is to get them to side with someone who is trying to be heroic, even if they didn't go about it in the right way, but is at least trying to do what they think at that moment is the best for everyone, regardless of what happens to them. And I just think because there's a severe lack of God and morals in this nation, a lot of people don't live their lives quite well. How many times have we been burned by people who've stabbed us in the back and we just realize like, wow, I thought we were all supposed to be adults here. And you just realize a lot of people don't really conduct themselves with a lot of integrity. So in my opinion, I think a lot of people will read the news and they'll see someone like George Floyd or whoever, and their heart goes out more to that person because they can identify more saying, well, they died living for themselves, basically. Whereas someone who tries to do the right thing, whether it's a cop or someone who's trying to act as a vigilante or however you want to term it, the idea of self-sacrifice and doing for others, I think that's become a foreign word for many people. It's kind of become an alien word, and it just doesn't make sense in so many movies, right? The guy who's trying to do the right thing or the girl who's trying to do the right thing secretly in the end is actually an evil person. And you thought they were the nice preacher, but really they had some deep, dark, they beat their wife at night, that type idea. So I wonder if we're kind of primed in that way. And I think that that's quite dangerous. That I feel like that's what comes first to people's mind when they see a story like Daniel Penny, for example. Well, what was his motives? It can't be that he tried to help. There has to be something.
It can't be that he saw that people were in danger and decided
exactly.
he had to be the one to do something.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think there is a huge portion of the population that's increasingly self-serving, and so therefore they expect everyone around them to be self-serving.
The same way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they can't see the idea of like, this is just the right thing to do, or this is my altruistic activity. There has to be some other motive there because they have their own motives.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the nihilism. I think there's widespread nihilism and godlessness.
And right before the Russian Revolution, what happened? Nihilism set in heavy.
I think everybody should read the 1984 read about Bernie Getz. I mean, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia right now. I've known about it passively. I've never really looked into it. There was some big hubbub about it not that long ago, I think. Something happened with a lawsuit. I can't remember. All I know is you read this, it's a crazy story. This guy says that, was it 4 young black men approached him. They claim they asked him for $5. He claimed they told him to give him $5. I do not believe the guys who approached him. Can I have $5? They admitted that they were on their way to Manhattan to rob an arcade or something. And Bernie Getz was 37 at the time. That's crazy, right? I just turned 38 on Saturday. And Bernie Getz admitted that after he shot him, he walked over, he bent down to KB, who was cowering on the ground, and said, "You don't look so bad, here's another," and shot him once again, severing his spine, resulting in brain damage and partial paralysis.
Wow.
Yeah, not a good thing at all. But the reason I bring it up, he was ordered to pay $43 million. I bring it up because people are just going to say, I don't care at all anymore. When that happens, you're not going to want to live in this place. But people were cheering for this guy. So let's jump to where we're currently at in the state of the United States. From SCNR.com, Biden apologizes for illegal migrant reference. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect. I would have preferred a headline from that actually explicitly stated, apologizes for calling Laken Riley's murderer an illegal immigrant, making reference to him instead of calling. And I agree. Joe Biden, he went on MSNBC. For those that don't know, Laken Riley was a nursing student. She was going for a jog. An illegal immigrant allegedly approached her, in all likelihood to rape her. And when she fought back, he beat her so heavily, he crushed her, he disfigured her skull and killed her. I believe that Joe Biden was wrong to call this man illegal, and he was right to apologize. He was right to apologize for saying he shouldn't have called her an illegal. However, Where he was wrong was when he said it's undocumented. No. He's also wrong about that. It's criminal alien. Criminal alien, rapist, and murderer would be apt. I'd be willing to say, fine, innocent until proven guilty. I hold those standards. So criminal alien should be sufficient because this guy is a criminal alien. Dave Smith had, I should actually pull up, I'm going to pull up Dave Smith's statement because it's too good. Dave Smith, we had him on just last week. Let me pull up his post here.
Yeah,
I'm going to say that I object to the term undocumented here because it was documented that he was in the country illegally. Like that was a fact. They know that for sure.
Right. It's paper trail. It's just the wrong kind of paper trail.
He's undocumented in the sense that he's not paying taxes. He is
Right.
a documented illegal immigrant or illegal alien, really.
He's untaxworthy.
From at comic Dave Smith. I don't know what better sums up the modern American progressive establishment than this. Apologizing to the murderer for calling him an illegal immigrant rather than undocumented, with no thought of apologizing to the girl who was murdered for getting her actual name wrong.
And in the
That is the country you live in. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. Because that was also the same speech, the State of the Union, in which what happened, we saw the Gold Star father of Lance Corporal Kareem Nakui, the father Steve Nakui, stands up and starts yelling about the 13 killed and Abby Gate. And we saw how Biden treated the families when the bodies were still warm, basically, and they were being flown over for their dignified transfer at Dover, looking at his watch, not caring, talking about only himself to the widows, a pregnant widow, one of them as well. And the father gets arrested, put in handcuffs, and charged by Capitol Hill police for heckling Biden. So same speech, right? Just as you're saying. He does that to the father, and then he, kind of, he's very cruel to the family of Lake and Riley as well.
I wouldn't put it on Biden that the Gold Star father got arrested because Biden was speaking as they did it.
True.
But I will put it on Biden for not immediately intervening
Exactly.
and saying, are you out of your mind? For sheer political reasons. Like, do you have any idea how bad this is going to be for me in my reelection? Don't arrest the Gold Star father. But I also read that he lost his son and then his other son committed suicide. Yeah. Is that true? That's
I believe it was those two. Yeah, it was the saddest thing ever. Just the fallout of everything that's happened.
But committed suicide at the memorial
I
for his
believe
dead
so.
brother.
Yes. And obviously none of it had to happen. Obviously Biden pushing back the timelines and all that. But even more direct is that one of the Marines had identified the suspect, the guy with the bomb vest, could have shot the guy. He asked for the higher ups to give him the permission to shoot, and they refused. Even though he had the suspect identified, he's like, you told me to look for this guy standing next to this specific person with this bag. They said no, and then within minutes the bomb blast goes off. The 13 are killed. Hundreds of Afghan civilians were killed, and the Marine who almost could have taken the guy out and saved the lives, I believe lost 2 or 3 limbs.
The Biden administration is so bad in terms of apologizing to the alleged murderer, in terms of dead soldiers, failing economy, corporate lies. The only logical conspiracy theory, and it is not that the deep state is trying to win. I'm sorry, that's not it. You can argue that the deep state is going to rig the election so that Joe Biden wins. That's not the conspiracy theory. It is so bad. It is abject bad to the point where the only conspiracy theory is they're trying to get Trump to win, and they've been pretending like they don't like him when they love him the whole time.
Yeah, that part is scary. I also think the Biden administration is a perfect reflection of how rotten the left has become. Because thinking about this in the language, it reminds me of how they reacted in the media or in politics on the left after the trans shooter in Nashville. We got to get the pronouns right? We got to talk about trans people, not about the dead kids, right?
Concerts too.
Right. Totally
Benefit
insane.
concerts.
So if you look at it, as depraved as this is, if you look at it through that lens of everything that is good is bad and bad and good, this unfortunately makes sense.
The Haiti thing, right? Haiti is great already, says Conan O'Brien. Look, normally we say, that guy bent himself backwards trying to justify blah, blah, blah. Oh, these people took their spines right out. Well, because they didn't have them in the first place. So they went into their closet to figure out where their spine was. And they twisted it into a pretzel just to hate Donald Trump. Haiti is not a good place. Do not go there. I'm sorry. It's just, there's a cannibal in charge. And when Trump is like, man, this country's an ishhole, they're like, no, it's not. It's
So,
actually really nice.
My very expensive guarded resort was nice. I had no contact with actual people who lived there, but I will tell you that I liked it. I had a good time. Like it's delusional. It's completely separated, and to me, I think obviously that it makes sense to prioritize American aims and American people over, international intervention. But if you're a progressive who thinks that you need to be involved in international affairs and step in, you saying, no, Haiti's great right now is actually doing a disservice to everyone there. Haiti is not great right now.
Look, I don't get it. But Biden announces they're building a port in Gaza. And I'm like, is he trying to lose? Is the real conspiracy theory that they're trying to get us to beg for an authoritarian crackdown? Like the establishment has always secretly wanted a strong nationalist movement, but they couldn't figure out how to get it because people were always just anti-establishment. So they were like, the only way to get it to happen is if the establishment hates the country, and then people will start attacking the establishment and defending the ideals of America. Well, here we are.
Yeah, it could also be just to make him look so bad that they can get him out and replace him with an even worse but slicker guy.
It's been years,
like
dude. It's been years.
I know. Yeah,
I mean,
that part is scary.
What was it, like 2021? When was it? When was it? Afghanistan withdrawal? How many years ago was that? Was it
2021?
2021 August, right?
That's already memory hold. Like a lot of people don't even think about that.
Dude.
Like that footage is insane. It's horrific stuff. And then thinking about like sending aid, like we were saying, I just think about how we sent aid to Puerto Rico and what happened to that. That was all just like absorbed by corrupt politicians.
Oh yeah, and
almost all of it.
Stories of like big, massive piles of water bottles just sealed and
left in the middle of the woods, and then all those the governor or someone took all the lumber in a warehouse. I think they're in jail now, and they were giving Trump trash. They're trashing him for that,
for throwing paper towels.
Like it was his fault.
Trump was throwing the paper towels, and they got mad at him for it.
And the Haiti thing's just another weird conflict between Trump and Clinton. Really, if the Clintons have all this history with Haiti and then destroying it, and Trump saying it's a bad place,
it's like the Midas touch, but for human. I don't want to swear, so
yeah.
But it's like whatever the Clintons touch turns to fecal matter. There you go. We're family friendly here. It's a little gross,
everything they touch turns to streets full of cannibals.
Oh, jeez.
That's the Clintons' wedge.
It's wild when the story breaks because I started looking into it, and there's people posting online back in 2017 being like, this cannibal gang leader is eating people.
Yeah.
And Trump 2018's like, wow, what an awful country. And they're like, no, it isn't. Listen, Conan O'Brien went to Haiti when there was a cannibal eating people, a gang leader, and they mercilessly they capture cops and then beat them and film it. And Conan O'Brien was like, this is totally fine. Mm-hmm. And there's no way. When Conan O'Brien decided to go to Haiti, you know that at the time, was it NBC or was it TBS? I think TBS,
that was
right?
Probably TBS, yeah.
I guarantee you, the insurance company required hostile environment training for Conan. I do not believe any company would allow him to enter Haiti without hostile environment training, unless he went with a heavily armored and armed detail and received a security brief. Because I have gone to lesser, like when I was working for Vice, Venezuela was having riots, security brief. When I was working for ABC, we went to Ferguson. It's a very suburb of St. Louis. I'm like, I could drive there from my home from Chicago in a couple hours, and we had to get a security brief, and they wanted everybody. I believe everyone there had to receive some form of hostile environment training, which they made us go through. And I was laughing. I was like, guys, the hostile environment training is rudimentary. I've done this for 3 years already, and they were like, well, you got it's insurance. There's no way Conan O'Brien was able to go there, and he did not know what was going on. Because whenever I would go somewhere, they'd say, here are your danger points. Here's what to look out for. They would say things like, okay, so this place is known for this kind of crime. When I went to Venezuela, they said, okay, don't use ATMs. This place is well known for express kidnappings, meaning if you are about to approach an ATM, guys jump out of a car, they grab you, throw you, they make you pull money out, throw you in the car, drive you around until they drain your accounts. And then they're actually kind of nice. They'll give you a ride wherever you want to go. So it's actually a really funny story.
It's like a weird taxi service.
After they're done robbing you, so the story I've heard is that they tell you you're being kidnapped, take your money out, give us your money and come with us. And then they talk to you in the car, like, where are you from? What are you doing if you speak Spanish or, if they speak English. And then what? French. In Venezuela? Oh, yeah, in Venezuela. And then what happens is they'll take you to ATMs to try and get as much money out as possible. And then afterwards, they ask you where you want to be dropped off.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so we'll give you a ride wherever you want to go. We'll drop you off.
Please give me a good rating on Uber.
And moral of the story, Conan O'Brien went to Haiti with a full security detail, knowing how bad it was, to lie to the American people, because they hate Trump so much they would crack their spines into pretzels.
I'm curious.
Just to hate Trump.
I'd like to see his remote footage from that, and I'm curious if there's anything negative in it. Like, like in this part we can't go because blah, 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 blah. Or if it's completely deceptively edited the way Jon Stewart would deceptively edit an interview with a politician to make him look bad. This would be the opposite, deceptively edit Haiti to make it look really good. As I actually am a fan of Conan's. I love his remotes. But it's funny to think of it in this context.
Trump had insulted Haiti in the Oval Office.
The president asked, quote, why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here, referring to African countries and Haiti? The president then went on to talk about how they needed to bring in more people from places like Norway.
Now, I have no idea what the president has against the people of Haiti, but if the president doesn't like them, they must be lovely people.
Oh, so Conan loves cannibals.
Well, he didn't have barbecue on his show, so how good could he be?
This is the important distinction right now to make. Trump said it's an actual country. He did not say the people of this country are bad. The country is bad because their leadership is in chaos.
Right.
Conan O'Brien doesn't care about context. They must be lovely people. Well, if he's taking Trump's words in full context, he's talking about a country that is bad, which is its government, and Trump is correct. And he thinks they're lovely people. I don't want to go through the whole thing. But,
When I was in Haiti, I visited the École Nouvelle Zoranger, a school that serves some of the poorest children living in Port-au-Prince.
So basically, he goes on a Potemkin tour of Haiti, showing nice, secure things and having a good time, which you can do anywhere.
So true.
This is what people don't realize. If you watch this show consistently, you've heard it a million times. When I was in Egypt, McDonald's was 2 blocks away from Tahrir Square, and a guy was eating cheeseburgers watching soccer.
Right.
You'd have no idea that a revolution just took place.
Right.
And here you go.
There's nothing bad in it.
He goes to a school and he meets a bunch of kids.
Right.
I guarantee you, he's riding around in this van. Conan O'Brien, a multi-millionaire American who is 6'6", 6'7",
He's tall.
super tall, with bright red hair, sticks out like a sore thumb. He had armed guards probably in multiple levels surrounding his vehicle. There's no way TBS would not give him security detail. Anyway, instead of prattling on about the Haiti thing over and over and over again, the point is this. Biden would rather apologize to the criminal alien murderer than to the family he insulted. And that's what Conan and these Democrats represent when they're saying, if Trump said it, it must be the opposite. They know they're lying. They know they're lying. So come November, ask yourself which country you would rather live in. An America that is inspired by El Salvador, which turned things around, or an America that's inspired by Haiti, which devolves into cannibal gang leaders eating people.
I want to live in the country where the president can correctly say the name of the woman who died at the hands, allegedly, of an illegal immigrant who they knew was here illegally. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I mean, this is the other thing is like Lake and Riley is a really tragic story. It's incredibly sad, but there have been like 4 other reports in the last 5 days of people who have died because of, illegal immigrants, car crashes involving illegal immigrants who shouldn't have been here. There was a cop in Washington who was killed by an illegal immigrant. Like this goes on and on and on. And I think it's good that we know who Lake and Riley is. I think it's good we know her story. On the other hand, the fact that there are so many all the time tells you that this is a problem the Biden administration is just trying to sweep under the rug.
Also, because illegal immigration is something, because since I'm native to Southern California, that's where I was born and raised. One thing I realized, so growing up, most of the kids were, were Hispanic, but many of them were illegal, and they would openly talk about it. Like in high school, they would do their book reports basically on my grandma crossed the border illegally, and I'm proud of that. Or they'll say, I myself came over illegally. Wow. Maybe they're just trying to play it up. I don't know. But it's something that does actually intersect with my life. I've had loved ones who've been in car accidents, and maybe the cops were wrong on this, but at the time they told them, there's nothing we can do. The guy who hit you and caused a massive pileup of 3 or 4 other cars, well, he's illegal. So we're going to let him completely go. No insurance. The insurance is going to come from you guys, even though you're all the victims. I know people also who live in the area of who they've had their houses ransacked. They come home from vacation, everything from their family's gone, the antiques, the jewelry. And when the cops come, they investigate and they go, ooh, looks like it's MS-13 related, and we'll counsel you to just not go much further on this, to kind of let it go, get insurance involved, and just kind of leave it at that. Because if you pursue further and we start to basically poke at the hornet's nest, you don't want MS-13 coming back to kill you next time. And so it's actually a real live wire of an issue, like you said, on the roads, when it comes to crime, when it comes to all of these other issues. And one thing, as you talked about the Washington State trooper, he was out looking for DUI cases on the side of the road, and unfortunately one found him, and that man was here illegally. But the local news first reported him as Linwood Man. Same thing as Laken Riley's alleged murderer, Athens Man, right? Because they don't want you to know. And I guess tying it back to what we were talking about earlier with Haiti and El Salvador and all the rest, is that the left will gaslight you and lie, because a nation like Haiti, unfortunately, the way it's been ruled, or maybe the absence of rule, and hence why the anarchy, but it allows itself in some ways, and I don't mean allow in an active sense, because many of this is being done to them, and there's really no single person in charge to be held at fault for it, but they basically get raped, like you said, by the Clintons and other global groups. So they'll look at you with a straight face and say, this is the most beautiful, wonderful, highly functioning nation on earth. El Salvador, Bukele, can show you, well, I cleaned up crime by doing the opposite of what you do, and they'll look at you, authoritarian autocrat. They do the same with Ukraine. Zelensky can govern the nation just like Putin does in Russia, but one's democracy and the other isn't. And a lot of it just comes from because there's a lot of powerful interests as well. And so that also is the lie, because they know what their friends say. They know their friends make money through these groups. So then they just go out and they just help their friends.
I think one of the seeds of the collapse of society is like the way they've destroyed language. So they redefine anything to then call you, but it doesn't even say the same definition, because the definitions are so malleable. They just keep, today it's this, today it's that, tomorrow it's that. And that makes it hard to have a cohesive society.
And that's why you can't. One thing I talk about on my show is that oftentimes with the left, though I'm sure people on the right can be. It's a human issue, so I'll admit that people on the right and left. But you see it a lot on the left. It's more you have to understand what their goal is, what their predetermined conclusion is. Because if you get too bogged down on marketplace of ideas, let's just debate. Well, not everyone wants to debate in good faith, because if someone wants X and they don't care what the truth is because X benefits and behooves them, they'll use any argument. They'll shuffle that board until you're confused, going, wait, you said this, now you're saying that, I'm confused. We're all contradicting ourselves, because they still just want X to be true. So you have to make sure when you're arguing with someone, does the truth matter to you, or is that what you're after? If not, then
let's jump to this. Let's jump to the story. My friends, as the news cycle goes, there is a lie. We all know it's a lie. It's easily debunked, but the media insists it's true, claims that the quote-unquote right is lying to you, and their claims are debunked, when in reality, the corporate press was lying the whole time. From the New York Times, testimony fleshes out account of Trump's demand to go to Capitol on J6. But a newly released transcript of an interview of the Secret Service agent who drove Donald Trump's vehicle that day disputes that he tried to grab the steering wheel or lunged another agent. Amazing, isn't it? What was that woman's name? Cassidy Hutchinson? Was that who that was? So she lies? Or she said, I heard this happened. They got hearsay in the January 6th committee. And my understanding is the vehicle that Trump was in has a barricade between the passenger's area and the driver's seat. So Trump was not physically able to phase, unless Trump has superpowers, and he might. But the argument would be that he phased through solid matter to grab the steering wheel.
Could be Tesla time travel.
That's right, time travel.
Don't forget that.
It was fake the whole time. We knew it was fake the whole time because the vehicle that drives Trump was the Beast. Doesn't have there's a barrier between the drivers and the passengers. It's the president's vehicle. It's secure, and they lied anyway. And when all of us, the right, the post-liberal, libertarian, said that's not true, all the corporate press said they're lying. It happened, and then they wait. How many? What is it? What is this now? 2 years later, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, that was all true. Like, it was fake. We made it up.
And this headline isn't like testimony contradicts testimony that this happened. It says fleshes out, adds new details, like got some more insight on this thing that we claimed happened, but it turns out it doesn't. Like, they're not even admitting it out of the gate that they were completely wrong. They want it to seem like, oh, we're learning new stuff, but nothing. The storyline hasn't changed. Our main premise is that he is bad, and we maintain that.
And real quick, sorry. The transcript was released by House investigators of another Secret Service agent who, driving the car, Trump wanted to go to the Capitol, but his lead agent, Robert Engel, said no, telling him there was no plan. They had this. The J6 committee, the House, they had this information. They knew the story was false. They are putting out fake information. And it's crazy because there are people who live in that fake reality. They believe it all the moment it comes out. But anyway, you were saying, sorry.
Well, to that point, I was at the Capitol today, the U.S. Capitol, and we went on a tour. And the tour guide, he looks us all dead in the eye and he says, this is where the 2 cops who were killed on January 6th were late, or were late, were allowed to lay in state, right? And I didn't say anything to my fiance at the time, and he's like, you should have said something. I was like, I'll bite my tongue because I don't want to get into it, and it's just not the place for it. Maybe I should have. Maybe I was a coward on that. But he told, so everyone in that tour group now believes, because they've been told by the Capitol, tour guide, that 2 cops were killed on January 6th. They try and usually kind of mingle the language, because no cops died on January 6th, right? Brian Sicknick was natural causes, but that was the day after. Then there were suicides weeks and months after. Then they try and conflate all that. But he's still going with I know there was a congressman who recently did that, though, right? Who said there was at least 1 cop killed on January 6th. Right. And I forgot who was testifying against the congressman, but it was like...
They would have arrested you if you said anything.
Did you hear about the
misinformation?
the 7 cops who died in the fire on May 29th at the White House? Yeah. 7 cops died in a fire at the White House. Did you guys know that? Yeah. Because it's not true. I made it up. But if they're going to make things up...
Hey, how dare you question law enforcement?
Yeah,
that's
right.
rude. We have to... They're heroes. And the fact that you would dispute their death is just unethical.
Wait, Hannah Claire, does his story matter? Does it help the left get votes?
Well,
because if that's the case, then it's totally fine.
I can report this. A source close to the White House told me that law enforcement were killed on May 29th. Wow. The source that was close to the White House is a homeless guy who was in the alley covered in his own boogers, and he was ranting about, bacon falling from the sky. But I have to assume he was telling the truth because he was close to the White House.
Oh, that sounds legit.
I love how they do it, though. They've done that with Trump. A source close to the Trump administration said this, and I'm like, that could literally mean a burger guy standing outside the White House.
That's immediately what I thought.
Do you remember the familiar with Trump's thinking?
Yes. Yeah, they said sources familiar with Trump's thinking said he's likely thinking this. And it's like, what? We got psychics now in the press?
Yep.
Man, what are we doing here? What's that? What are you doing, Hannah Claire?
Well,
why aren't you developing psychic powers to report better?
I do, and Chris Carr is always like, you can't write about things that haven't happened yet. And I'm like, but it's breaking news, and Chris Carr is just trying to hold me back.
You're like, let me pre-write the story. It's going to happen in a week. No, we don't do pre-writes.
I've got other things to do today, so here are all of my predictions that will be completely true.
Tomorrow's news today.
Yeah, they're really against it. They're like, you can't pretend things have happened yet. I'm saying you're oppressing me as a psychic.
No, it's crazy.
The media legit reported sources familiar with Trump's thinking, and more than once.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's like
beautiful.
They're basically saying, like, there's a guy, a lawyer, who knows how Trump thinks. Therefore, this story is true. And it's like, what?
It's like when Mary Trump, Trump's niece, comes out with stuff, and she'll be like, well, he's really upset the family. And we're like, girl, you wrote a book. Like, you think you get invited to Thanksgiving? I don't believe you know any. You're on the outs. And she'll be like, well, as our family is really this, that, and the other. And we're like, I just think you are not the source I believe. You have... If anyone in the Trump family tells this girl anything, they are delusional.
So I Google searched the phrase, who wants to read a good old Brian Stelter?
I don't have my glasses on.
Brian Stelter says, a source familiar with the president's thinking tells at Gloria Borger that Trump is pissed, flailing and upset more than ever. His anger is, quote, beyond what anyone can imagine.
A source familiar with the president's thinking. Familiar with his thinking.
Does Brian Stelter have the same job that he had when he tweeted that?
Look,
he does not.
Interesting.
In fact, he does
the
not.
only person I trust with that kind of phrasing
Look at this,
has
there's
to
more.
be Melania Trump. And if she doesn't say it verbatim to me herself, I don't believe you.
She talks to Stelter.
Look at this. William Bill is from 2018. William Barr, a former attorney general under President H.W. Bush, is emerging as a consensus candidate to succeed Jeff Sessions as attorney general. 2 sources familiar with President Trump's thinking tell CNN. Chad McMorris said, sources familiar with Donald Trump's thinking is a new one. That's what they were predicating stories off of. Now, to be fair, Bill Barr did become, did succeed Jeff Sessions, but still.
Tim, I'm going to start telling people stuff, and I'll just cite myself as a source familiar with Tim Pool's thinking. I'll just be like, this is his favorite restaurant. I'm a source familiar with Tim Pool's thinking.
Close to Tim Pool.
Yeah.
Well, no, the truth is, whenever I think things, like off the show, I'm just saying it all out loud. I don't think quietly. I'll walk in the room and I'll be like, it's cold. The lights are off. Let me turn the lights on. No, the lights are a little too bright. I'll turn them down. You know what? I'm thirsty. I'm now walking over to the fridge to get a drink.
A source
better turn the
familiar
monitor
with Tim
on.
Pool's thinking says he's coming down with pneumonia. He's feeling cold and chills, and he is constantly thirsty. He has a medical crisis awaiting him.
I just narrate every step of my life all the time.
Tim Pool's life is all exposition.
mean, that's why people love playing poker against me, because I'm sitting there and I look down, I'm like, I have ace jack suited and I'm in the cutoff. That means I should make a bet because I'm opening. Okay, no one bet. Okay, now I'll bet. And they're like, he's just telling me what he's doing. Man. Well, that's just it. They're all familiar with my thinking.
But what's crazy,
that's what Trump does.
The fact that your tour said that the cops were killed goes back to what Tim was saying just before that about how we're in different realities. Like, I believe we're interdimensional species now because of things like that, where people believe that story now, and then they spread that story. And if someone tells them otherwise, how dare you even question it? Because the person at the Capitol told me the fact. Why would they lie to me?
A source familiar with Shane Cashman's thinking says that he is making stuff up on the spot.
That source is probably
he thinks
a
he can get rich
sick
that
person.
way.
And what burns my hide the most, I know a lot of this isn't dealing with sensitive, top secret material, but oftentimes it does, right? There's a lot of intel leaks and stuff that they know is half baked, isn't maybe true. Steele dossier, they couldn't pay them. You know, they said, we'll give you $1 million if you can like authenticate your dossier. Couldn't. Well, we're going to run with it anyway. But what burns my hide is that's how DC works, right? And that's how the news works, is that you cultivate your sources, and people who want something to become true, well, they'll start to leak to the media in a certain way in which they want it reported on. And then so you get all the sources say, this person says, but then what did they do to someone like the Discord leaker guy, the airman, or not, sorry, not, he was National Guard, I believe, right? Up to 16 years he could be sentenced for, because he did not release in the way they wanted to, because he did it to his buddies, and the stuff that he released online to his gaming buddies undermined everything the U.S. government was trying to say. But if he had done the laundering information through the Washington Post, a bunch of lies with sensitive, top secret information about the war, but done the way in which they wanted him to, national hero, he gets all the top journalism awards.
Did your tour bring up Ashley Babbitt?
No.
Did they even
I believe there's reason
hint at
for
it?
it.
Did they hint at it?
Okay, we're all going on this tour. Secret cameras. Let's go.
That's
Man,
crazy. That is really interesting. But this is why I question history. Like, when I got into a fight with some historians in Georgia writing the last book for Inverted World, because they believe they believe in certain facts because the government said it. I'm like, but that was a dying government. Why would you even believe them?
I got into a fight with Kara Cooney. I call her like I don't know, she's like my evil twin almost. She's not that, maybe. But
She's like your mirror twin.
Growing up, I wanted to be an Egyptologist. I wanted to become an Egyptologist, learn Arabic, go to UCLA, and do the whole deal. My whole room is still ancient Egyptian theme. It looks like a museum, right? And so I bought her books. I know she's feminist and liberal leaning, but I figured her works would be more academic, hopefully, with maybe a little spattering of her politics in there. I buy her book. It's her book, I think, Good Kings or Good Pharaohs, something along those lines. And I read it, and at the end, I mean, the whole thing was trash, right? She just destroys the history of ancient Egypt, and basically all the pharaohs are misogynistic, evil. It's weird. I don't know. They're going after ancient Egypt maybe because it was a lot of white Europeans in the 1800s who made Egyptology a field, and so now to go against the white man, they're going after ancient Egyptians. But the end was most important because she writes, and this is a year after the Kyle Rittenhouse incident, she writes that he killed 2 black men, shot 3 black men in pursuit of his glorious white race war that he had inherited. And Nat Geo printed it. And so I went after her on Twitter, and a bunch of people picked it up saying, Kyle, add this to your list of who to sue, because this is egregious. It's not like the thing had just happened where, well, even then from the beginning we knew. And so I went after her, and then I said, now that casts doubt on everything about your history you're talking about. And there's not a lot of primaries. The pharaohs did not write diaries. And she's like, well, and she didn't really have an answer for that.
They just make
Fake
it up.
news. Yeah.
Historians always like to place modern feelings onto the past that they supposedly study.
That's not. They're doing that with that Roman emperor, right? Where they're like, actually, he was gay and possibly trans.
Nero?
It's not Nero.
But
There's
they
a
do
different
everything.
one. This is what bothers me, though. I mean, sources told me
Beethoven was black.
Well,
Remember that one?
No, but that
You don't
sounds
remember
right
that
now.
one? Dude,
sources
that was
familiar
a big
with
one.
Beethoven's thinking believe he identified as an African American, but
Beethoven was actually Rachel Dolezal.
Here you go. From The Guardian, Beethoven was black, why the radical idea still has power today.
Wow.
He helped galvanize the U.S. civil rights movement, and today sparks intense debate about cultural dominance and the musical canon. In his 250th anniversary year, can we listen to Beethoven and what he represents with fresh ears?
I'm going to start saying people are white.
Yeah.
I'm like, they were pretending, but they're actually white.
You should. I mean, Abraham Lincoln we know is black.
No, he's white.
On. No, you haven't read that
who's the founder
book?
of BLM? That guy,
Abraham
Sean
Lincoln.
King, isn't he white?
Yeah, and Muslim now.
Oh, interesting. I mean, look, white people are hiding in plain sight. They're among us.
Well, good for Beethoven.
Yeah,
But they've done this with a lot of historical figures.
Yeah.
I like that it tells you the article's 3 years old. Because that's like the old narrative. Now there's a new one coming out. I'm sure it's emerging.
I mean, that's cool.
The Guardian starts alerting you at like 5
yeah.
months. They'll be like, "This is like."
I think even more than that. I think a month.
Really?
It'll say like this is a month old. I mean, that's pretty good. I like that they do that.
That is fair, yeah.
I like it, especially when you're looking at like court cases and stuff, because there are updates all the time, and sometimes
Right.
it's just like slightly a grind. Sorry.
Do you think part of it is that, you know, they take the obvious and then they twist it? And do you think part of the rationale is so that we never trust our own eyes and ears? Because what does the right usually say is, oh, you know, are you going to trust the left telling you something or your own lying eyes and ears? And that's the joke, right? Because what you see is probably a lot more true than what some guy over there is trying to tell you to believe about what you're actually seeing and experiencing. So I wonder if all these kind of articles, if another layer to them is the idea that, see, you can't trust anything you think you know, anything you think you see, trust us because we will tell you. And anything you believe today can become a canceled position tomorrow, and you could lose everything. So be careful and listen only to us.
Yeah.
Sources familiar with Kara say she's exhibiting intense paranoia, and she's
All right,
delusional.
guys. How do you think Snopes rated the claim? Was Beethoven black?
Oh, they're gonna say
it's credible.
They're gonna say it's gonna be half and half. They're still out on it.
Not rated. There's
They
no
won't
official
weigh
rating.
in.
I love it.
Yo, it's very obvious. The answer is false. He was not. While some people have made 100 years after his death, a man speculated he may have been mixed race. That is nowhere near any kind of historical significance as to the claim that he's black, when all images of him, paintings mostly, show him as a white man. The argument is that the white heteronormative patriarchal system could not allow Beethoven to be black, so they drew him white.
That's ridiculous.
But that makes more sense than the fact that maybe he was just white. Like,
Right.
What
But,
are the odds?
Their conspiracy would argue that there were people who were like, well, publicly everyone can know, and we all know he's black, but for history's sake, we can't do that. Like, they were willing to not be racist in person, but historically, for the sake of record, had to be racist. Is a ridiculous story.
So in
to
100
claim.
years, they'll whitewash Kanye. He was white.
No, yes,
This whole time, he was white.
Yep.
He couldn't have been black. Oh, yeah,
Yep. And then when they draw pictures of like Sean King, he's gonna be real dark.
yeah.
For real.
They'll say he's Malcolm X. They'll just be like, this picture of Malcolm X is actually Sean
I
King.
already converted to Islam. Is that true?
Yeah, supposedly. But who knows? You can't believe anything.
I said it's true. I said yeah, supposedly, but who knows?
I thought I saw the ceremony though, unless it's a AI
Exactly.
video.
That's why you can't believe anything on the internet. But people
Well,
were
when
tweeting
people
it.
like convert to stuff, I feel like sometimes you want to be like, you're posting about this very publicly. That makes me skeptical of it. Not to question his faith, but you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
I didn't see
when
anything
you're
from
doing
him
it for the
yet.
optics versus like you come out as having converted a long time ago. I don't know.
Right.
Well, we don't actually, because it's Ramadan, I'm going to correct you. You actually revert to Islam. You revert to becoming Muslim because everyone's natural state is being Islam. So
I fundamentally disagree, but you also told me I can't wear a hijab on the show, so I don't trust anything you say. Sources close to Serge over here know that he's a fraud.
You got it all wrong. Serge was telling me he wants the women to wear hijab. He's upset.
I asked you specifically if I could wear a hijab on the show, and you're always sketchy about it.
I mean, I prefer the niqab personally, but you know, I'm
He's
someone more conservative
Yeah,
than me. That
Serge,
like the
Serge came to
burqa,
me and
but-
was like, "Why are the women uncovered?" And then he showed me this picture of a candy wrapped, and then a candy that was open with flies all around. And he was like, "Do you understand now?" I was like,
Wow.
Have you ever seen that billboard?
Amazing. No.
There's you Serge seen it? There's a billboard where it shows a piece of candy with like sparkles, and then next to it is a piece of candy that's open and has flies all over it, and it was like hijab, no hijab.
Wow.
God, men are such flies, dude. Wow.
Holy
Sources
It's-
close to Serge say that he does not like flies on women or candy.
So here we go. We got
Makes
more,
so-
ladies and
makes so
gentlemen.
much sense.
If you thought that they were defrauding you and lying about the president, then you thought right. From the post-millennial January 6th committee hid evidence that Trump called for 10,000 National Guard troops to handle unrest. Suppressed transcript. Yeah, so this testimony's coming out now, and we're learning they lied about everything because, you know, like Liz Cheney is just so awful. I'm so glad that her career just imploded. She's so awful. Here we go. Post-millennial says, transcripts of an interview with President Trump's former White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Anthony Ornato, have been released, which provided evidence the former president took steps to bring 10,000 troops to D.C. on January 6th to protect the Capitol. The evidence has never been released by former rep and January 6th Select Committee Chair, Vice Chair Liz Cheney, and the J6 Select Committee, even though Cheney was present for the interview. Following a report from Molly Hemingway at The Federalist, Committee on House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight Chairman Barry Loudermilk released the transcribed interview with Ornato. Loudermilk told Hemingway, The former J6 Select Committee apparently withheld Mr. Renato's critical witness testimony from the American people because it contradicted their predetermined narrative. Mr. Renato's testimony proves what Mr. Meadows has said all along. Trump did in fact offer 10,000 National Guard troops to secure this to secure the U.S. Capitol, which was turned down. He continued, "This is just one example of important information the former Select Committee hid from the public because it contradicted what they wanted the American people to believe. And this is exactly why my investigation is committed to uncovering all the facts, no matter the outcome." And they impeached Trump over January 6th, while knowing Trump actually called for National Guard to come in to help secure all of this. They lied about everything.
It's a charade. It's all a charade.
I don't know what else is there. Like at a certain point, it's kind of just like, yeah, we all know.
I just wish the mainstream media would be like, we did lie. Or they'd be like, new testimony that we suppressed says this.
And so much of it, remember from the original J6 committee, they destroyed a lot of the source information, that like deposition videos and all the rest. So it may be like that MK Ultra, right? You know, they lied about it, and then decades later stuff gets declassified, but then you realize they like try to burn and destroy many documents. So you think, wait a second, what we do know through the documents that did come out, this is really bad.
Right.
But imagine what was burned and destroyed, how much worse. So maybe a similar dynamic could be playing out here, is that this is, you know, a nice revelation. We knew it all along, but it's nice to see the evidence come out. But who knows what we're not going to see from the original J6 committee. That's
like videos of who put the pipe bomb there.
This reminds me of that Family Guy joke where they're watching the news and he's like, a plane narrowly, had an emergency landing. Everyone was okay. But here's what would have what it would have looked like if the plane crashed into a school, and here's what it would have looked like if it crashed into a school for the deaf, and here's what it would have looked like if a plane crashed into a school for bunnies. Like, that's the news does. They just...
Yeah.
I can't wait to start reporting like that. It's going to be so interesting and unhinged.
Here's what we should do. We should make like a spoof news website where it's not... I got an idea. The Babylon Bee is obviously fake. It's meant to be jokes. And then Not the Bee is stories that are ridiculous that are actually true. I think the hybrid is you make one that always has fake headlines and it's reporting real stories in really, really awful ways. Like... Donald Trump calls for the destruction of the United States and the end of democracy, we claim falsely in this article. So it's like the first portion, and then on Twitter, it'll go ...
Right.
And then when you click it, it says, we made up for the sake of this headline to get you to click it.
It's like,
so
just kidding.
It's telling you the truth, but the first half of the headline is fake, and the rest is the admission that we made it up.
That's how I felt when I was tweeting about the State of the Union. You know, the first part is like, oh, you know, this is the State of the Union, the president's addressing the nation. But when the camera pans in closely, you realize that President Biden is really just a possum trapped in a trash can, you know, this whole time. So I feel like that's just how it is.
Yeah,
you know?
but if there was like a really old possum trapped in a trash can and it was like partially blind and sputtering, and you wouldn't really feel threatened by it.
No.
You'd be grossed out.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel threatened by Biden. I feel threatened by everyone around him.
And then you know what happens is like you're trying to get it out of the trash.
Right,
you know,
now.
you're going to take the garbage out, and then there's like an old possum in there and it's sputtering, and you're like poking with a stick, and then it jumps out, but now it's like your kid's there and they start sniffing your kid, and then you're like, oh geez, it's just nasty. Like, you're not it's got no teeth.
I imagine
it's gumming you.
It's hissing.
Like,
it's hissing at you a lot though, and it smells like urine.
Yeah.
Which is probably how Biden was for the last
I'd be willing to bet
years.
that Biden does not smell good.
Definitely not. After what, like, we've heard lots of reports. Who knows if they're true or not? Like what
Sources
Tucker was,
close
like what
to
Alex
Tim
Jones was
Pool
saying.
say. Sources personally sniffed Joe Biden.
Sources close to President Joe Biden's bowel movement suggest he pooped his pants when he was in Italy. Was that where it was? He was in Italy?
I forget where that was.
And then like he had a meeting he missed or something, or he was late, and then he showed up wearing a different outfit. And it was like he must have soiled himself.
Crazy.
I think the thing is, if we had a possum, like a rabbit, even an old or blind possum for president, it would be slightly more scary because it would be a little unpredictable, especially like nervous feral animals. You don't know what they're going to do. They don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Whereas like, but Joe Biden doesn't really know what he's going to do, but not in like a anything could happen, knives out kind of way. Much more in a like, we're all lost and the ship seems to be sinking kind of way.
Yeah. I think he's just a sad old man, you know, like a possum who hasn't eaten in a while. And he's not dangerous himself. It's just everyone who's keeping him up there. Like it's abusive. You know, like everyone knows the possum's trapped in the trash can, but they're leaving him there.
I think Biden wants to stay there. I mean, I think that's why he is running for another term. If he really didn't want to, no one could make him.
Yeah.
I mean, although who knows what they know.
I think they could.
You have thoughts on this?
Do you think plot twist on this, because, you know, a lot of people were saying that maybe Governor Gavin Newsom, California's governor, would be swapped out for Joe Biden at some point.
America's shiny possum.
But yes, with the hair gel, yes. But do you think that, you know, the powers that be, however you want to term them, that they've gotten pretty used to having the puppet? Because imagine how much they can get away with when the guy who's supposed to be in charge doesn't really have a brain of his own.
I don't think there's
Whereas
anyone behind
Newsom
Biden.
would.
You
don't think so?
Everybody keeps arguing that like Obama or someone is behind Biden, and I'm like, no, it'd be cohesive. If Biden really was a
Could be
puppet,
disparate interest groups, though.
right? In which case, there's no puppet master.
True, but it would be yes and no, like not specific or direct, but like indirect, that there's multiple groups that are more powerful than.
Unless the puppet master's plan is to make Biden sputter out of control and just like fizzle out so Trump wins. I just don't see it. I certainly think there are interests that lobby the president.
Yes, like
but
self-interested people acting self-interestedly, like having a guy like him in power because they have more room.
I think Democrats don't want to lose.
Mm-hmm.
The only plan they had was Joe Biden. They had ballot harvesting plans because they hate Trump. But we're looking at a chicken with its head cut off. And I mean that like think about this in the literal sense, like a zombie with no brain. It's moving around, it's animate, but there's no brain. And so Biden gets propped up by all of these people who go out ballot harvesting, all these activist groups, they want him to win, disparate special interests. But now that he's president, there's nothing. I think Afghanistan is the best example of there being no puppet master. I think Biden was in the Situation Room and he was like, we gotta get out of the Air Force Base. What are we doing, huh? And then they're just like, you want us to leave Bagram? Like, get out. Okay. And then they're like, okay. And then they abandon the Air Force Base in the middle of the night with no plan, let random Afghanis storm into it, dropping all air support. Afghani security forces abandon their helicopters, run for the hills. Like if Obama was puppeteering Biden, this would not have happened unless they're intentionally burning the country down.
So I think on something like that, for example, it would kind of go back to the disparate interest groups, because I think a lot of them thought, well, you know, Biden's saying what he needs to say to get the left to come to heel. But at the same time, I think the Pentagon slow walked it because I don't think they thought he actually would go through with it. So I think that's where a lot of that,
Well, there's no puppet master, though. If Biden ultimately had,
that, yeah.
I think Biden said garbled, nonsensical BS. People couldn't figure out what his plan actually was or what he was saying. And then once he gets up and leaves the room, they all look at each other like, what do we do?
True, and
then they just did random things.
I don't know if I can't speak to a puppet master. I do believe there's a lot of dark interests involved behind Biden.
Yes.
And I think that they are intentionally trying to burn the country down. And I also think perhaps, this is just a thought, that Afghan withdrawal was just a sloppy deal done by Biden, but with behind the scenes possibly to reallocate sources to Ukraine.
Like if their plan is to get Trump elected, then their plan is working.
Right. I think they like Trump in power because then they could just go crazy in the media apparatus and everywhere else. Like the whole world shut down for Trump.
Actually, a fair point is if Trump wins, the country will not implode. And the Democrats get to pretend like it's the apocalypse and use it to gain power.
Yep.
Yes.
Whereas I think if like Biden were to win again, the country might actually implode because Trump actually has the popular polls
They
right now.
know things are too bad for them to fix. They're like, look, we're going to bring Trump in. He's going to fix some stuff, but we're going to be mad about it. We'll come back and mess it up later.
They're saying if Joe Biden wins, the 55 to 56% of people polled consistently approve of Trump will lose their minds and it will shatter confidence. If Trump wins, then you're going to have these people who are upset over Biden feel like we can actually affect change if we choose to. The Trump supporters will say, wow, we actually did it. We're winning. But instead of the left going out and just civil war, they go out and they say, the apocalypse has begun. Quick, give us money. And they use it to campaign and gain institutional power or try to.
It's the ascension of the victim class. The people who love the victimhood currency.
They loved it when Trump was president.
They loved it.
So maybe their strategy right now is, okay, what's our plan for when Trump wins, as opposed to how do we stop Trump? They maybe have resigned themselves to he's going to win. What can we do? And they're coming up with effective ways to raise money, gain influence, and gain institutions when Trump does become president.
I think that's
like look at Russiagate. So they end up doing they'll sabotage him. They want crime to be high. They want inflation to be high. They want there to be a pandemic and war. I wouldn't be surprised if they start a war and then say, here you go, Trump, good luck.
Yeah. For real.
Is that why
Seriously.
there's all those headlines? Perhaps, like going to your point on NBC, will say basically that the military has plans in place that should Trump assume office once again as commander in chief, that basically they're not going to listen to him. And we saw that with Syria. He said we need to pull out, and then they lied to him about the numbers and troop levels and the rest.
They lied to us.
Well, exactly. And they lied to him directly. There was that one diplomat, Jeffries, I believe his name was, for defense one, like a year or two later, he was basically crowing about it, saying, oh, Trump thought there were this many troops. There were actually another different number, and we just lied. And, it's wonderful because we're saving democracy, but it's true. We're seeing that a lot with some of the Ukraine funding. Senator J.D. Vance was saying, if this passes the way it's written, this actually could hamstring President Trump and set him up for a third impeachment trial. Same thing with the border sellout deal, that a lot of it seems to be designed to constrict Trump should he assume office once again. So, there could be some credence to that's why we're starting to see more and more of those type stories seeded in the the media, that should he get into office, we already have these guardrails in place.
Right. They're preparing for maybe what they might think is inevitable right now. And so they have to hamstring Trump as much as possible.
Well, they have to save CNN and MSNBC somehow, right? They have to drive clicks to those websites. They have to have something. We got to let Trump be the president in order for them to survive, right?
So
Is
what
that
you're
the trade-off?
saying, what you're saying is that voting in Trump again will actually make them build back better.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. That's the Maoist idea: is knock
what's
it
up.
all down, create chaos, and then be that fist,
Yeah.
that fist of power that solves everything.
It's
know?
all
peaceful
the
fist, right?
liberal journalists at
peaceful fist.
failing institutions that actually are like secretly like, please bring back Trump,
Right.
please bring back.
Rage,
bring
like
back-
bands like Rage Against the Machine are actually secretly hoping for Trump again, so they can
We've got
rage against
nothing
the
else to
machine
do.
again. Yeah, screw those people.
Yeah,
Are
man.
you? Do you have any predictions for who Trump's VP pick would be?
Oh, Lordy. I do stay out of the prediction game. I know that's a terrible answer.
It's okay.
I know that's horrible. That's not very, yeah. I don't know. I have ideas on who I don't want it to be.
Okay, who's that?
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. She's good on some stuff, but failed miserably on COVID. She's failed miserably on freedom of speech issues in some areas. So I'm not a big
And
fan.
women's sports too, wasn't there?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the other big one. You're so right on that one. So it seems he should. Oh, and then there's the other issue. Who was reporting on it? Maybe Greg Price, but the land issue, that there's a lot of farmers and they're having some, I don't know if it's a state agency or what group, or it's an environmental group coming onto their farms and dictating to them, destroying crops, just kind of standing wherever they want, saying it's not your land anyways anymore. And the guy could say, it's been in my family 5 generations. And they say, well, it's not going to be anytime soon. We have to survey, we have to do this and that. And it seems she's not doing a whole lot
Is it
about
like
it.
eminent domain situations?
I wish I remembered more details. So I think
crazy.
it was Greg Price who was reporting a lot on it. So I'd have to go back through
Yeah, I'll look
him
it
and then branch out from there on looking into it. But yeah, so someone like her, just because she's a woman and pretty, doesn't mean that we should go with the whole, because what we joke about with Biden and Ketanji Brown Jackson, the rest, the affirmative action, when it's obvious when he says, I'm going to pick based on these characteristics alone. Same thing with Newsom filling the late Senator Dianne Feinstein's seat. But then we Republicans, and we do this every time, we Republicans, then we talk like the left and we act like the left, but in a, what we think is we stamp the elephant on it. Now it's good.
I think the response to the State of the Union tells you exactly who it's going to be. They want a suburban housewife to be the VP.
Yeah.
Because that's the demographic they think they need to win, and they do need to win. So Kristi Noem
She is that.
probably going to be the
After
pick.
I say this now, it's going to be like,
Well, because she's like a middle-aged white woman
yes.
who's going to do the rallies in the suburban areas of, like, she's going to go to Loudoun County, and she's going to act like a suburban mom, And
I kept thinking Tulsi. It's
So I
close
think
to
Tulsi
what you're
great.
saying, but Tulsi offers a different demographic than Noam would to Trump.
Kristi Noem going into these like suburban housewife areas where Trump has trouble, and they're going to ask questions like, why should we vote for a Trump ticket? The man's awful. And then Kristi Noem's going to do the catty, smirk and a wink and, I'll be there and pour me a glass of wine or some really stereotypical insulting thing to wine moms, but like we'll convince them. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
That,
know.
maybe-
Who else is Haley on your list of non?
Well, obviously, it goes without
Just
saying.
have to make sure.
That would be the biggest plot twist of
Imagine.
2024.
no, she's Biden's VP pick.
Yeah,
It's true.
that's right. That's right.
Or Dean Phillips, if she's interested in the Unity ticket.
What if Biden announces that Harris will not be joining him for a second term, and that Nikki Haley and Biden met to form a unity ticket?
Wow.
That's a nightmare.
That might be one of their
I feel like
only
they would
plays
have
to actually
misread the country at that point.
win. No, it's basically uniparty versus anti-establishment.
Yeah.
They're basically saying if you're a Democrat or a conservative and you're concerned about Trumpism, vote the unity ticket. And you're going to get a lot of really dumb people being like, wow, a Democrat and Republican came together.
Mitch McConnell will canvas from the grave.
There was a moment when Kristen Sinema announced that she wasn't going to run for re-election as an independent in Arizona that I was like, do you have a spot in the Biden
that's right.
administration?
That's right.
But she said no to that, didn't she?
I think she did. It was
They've said no
when they
before
first
to
bring
these
it, like,
things.
yeah, just thinking about it. Or we didn't even, I don't know how much you guys talked about it, but I feel like I haven't talked enough about the fact that Romney and Joe Manchin were sitting together at the State of the Union because
was interesting.
Manchin had thrown around the idea that maybe Romney would be his VP pick, also on a similar moderate uniparty ticket, which
Not
maybe
interested.
again, they're just like, they're soft launching their relationship over there. They're just seeing what you think.
Yeah. Look at us, little brunch buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we can sit together.
I'm
It's
good.
fine. No, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I totally get what you mean by not wanting to make too many predictions.
But what about Tulsi?
Yeah, she's a suburban mom, isn't she? She's like a
No,
badass.
she's
Wasn't
too
she a med?
I don't
glamorous
think
to be
she's
a suburban mom.
I don't think she's a mom.
But she's at the same
I'm not
age.
sure.
I'm just saying, and
Yeah,
she's a combat medic.
I mean, there's
She's
there's really cool things about her, and there's other things that I think I disagree with her on.
Was she
But
still
she's also
anti-2A?
seems malleable, and she's changed a lot over the past few years. So I don't really know where she's at right now on certain things, like
On
the
2A
Second
in particular?
Second Amendment,
Yeah.
and other things like that, gender ideology. I'm not sure.
I feel like we just need him to. I feel like the best play, maybe hypothetically, would be if Trump picks a woman who is extremely outspoken about closing the border, because that's his bread and butter issue. That's really important
That would've
to
been
But that's
Carrie.
why
conservative
that's why
voters.
they had.
I don't think it's
It won't be. Carrie.
That's
don't
why
think
they
it's
had the
Carrie.
response to the State of the Union that they did. What's her name? Was it
Katie Britt.
Katie Britt
right.
out of Alabama. Yeah.
Right. So it was
But
like in a
she's-
kitchen. They were desperately being like, the suburban mom says vote Trump.
But I feel like, and again, I don't know enough about her voting record, but I think that there
He's not gonna
probably
pick her.
are other female candidates who are stronger. And even Kristi Noem, like Kristi Noem says something stuff, but and she's deployed National Guard to the border and stuff, but I just feel like it's not, you don't associate her with it, whereas you need someone that people are like, oh yeah, she's strong on the border.
For someone else with heels, there's always DeSantis. Sorry, that was my dad joke for the night. Please forgive me, everybody. I'm done.
Are you done though? Because
No.
you're still a dad, so I
yeah.
expect that this will keep going for the
It'll
rest
go
of
on.
forever.
Forever.
Yeah. Do you have any other predictions for going into November?
Are we going to make it to the election, Kara? This is what we need to know. These are the
sources
tough
feel
questions.
scarce.
look.
But I don't pull a
This-
Zelensky.
So this weekend I was I found myself once again at MGM playing poker with the boys, and I had everybody asking me these questions, and they're just like, who's Trump going to pick for his VP? I have no idea. And they were like, what's going to happen with the election? Who's going to? I have no idea. And they were like, I thought like they were telling me that you hosted this show, and I'm like, no one has any idea what is going on right now. None of it makes sense.
I do. I'm a psychic
None of it
journalist.
tracks
That's right.
historically.
Right.
Like people are like, we're in Weimar Germany, we're in pre-Spain Civil War. Like I don't even know what to tell you guys. Like you know what it is? You know what it is? Okay, I'm gonna pull this one up. I'm gonna tell you exactly what's going on. I'm gonna tell you because I know the secrets, and I got a tweet right here. I'm filibustering. Give me a second.
We're in a collage of everything that's ever happened. And that's how I feel.
right, let's
And
see,
No matter
let's
and
see.
whoever you are and what knowledge you have of history is what you see today.
All right, here we go. This is it. Fletch17 says, did y'all know folks who have access to viewing technology and anyone with remote viewing cannot see past or have any view beyond 2024? They have been baffled as to why. Thoughts?
Love it.
This tweet's got 620,000 views. And the general idea is that there are powerful global interests who have time viewing technology that allows them to see into the future. There's a movie about this. You ever see it? I forgot what it was called, but it was like a device, a lens so powerful it could see around the curvature of the earth so you can see through time. And they would use it to control like reality or whatever. That's it.
Yeah, that,
It's the end.
that adds up.
What happens
in my
is on November, when's the election? The 5th? November 5th?
Yeah.
On November 4th at 11:59 p.m. and 59 seconds, wherever you are, there's a snap and you're in a white space. There's no furniture. There is no buildings. Everything is just white. And you look around and then right before your eyes, game over.
Oh,
That's it.
so it is a Matrix. and that's
Would
the
you like to
construct?
play again? Yes, no.
Nice.
And then everyone hits no more.
That was awful. You wake up,
was
Elon
awful.
standing over you. He's like unplugging the Neuralink. So like, how'd it go? Like that was crazy, dude. That's a hellish.
Did everybody really like me? 50-50.
You made a comeback towards the end there, but
You posted a lot of really racy memes while the world was burning. Very odd.
And then he goes into the AI and he's like telling the guys like, why would the AI make me do that?
Yeah. Well, send him back in.
Send him back in. No! Start it over. You ready for round 2? Oh, help me, no.
I think, though, that people have been able to predict a lot of things over the years because there's a logic to humanity. But we are in an absurd world where there is no more logic but absurdity, and you can't guess absurdity. So, maybe that's even absurdity is immune to the remote viewing lens, which is something our government has tried to do in the past, and probably
the
is
remote
doing now.
viewing lens.
They tried to remote view. I forgot the name of that operation.
Men Who Stare at Goats.
Is part of that, I think, but that was a little different, I believe.
Pretty sure that was.
Where they were
that was
trying to
remote
stop
viewing.
the heart of the goat.
That was
No,
like
Men-
CIA stuff.
Men Who Stare at Goats was was Project Stargate, and they were
Yeah.
trying to
See through walls and stuff like that.
remote viewing.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
legit, the government had an operation called was it like Stargate Project, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And they were trying to remote view.
I've talked
They
to
legit
psychics.
were like, I can try and see in my mind what's happening in a foreign country.
When I was doing the Long Island serial killer story for Inverted World 1, I talked to a psychic in Norway who had helped cops find bodies by remote viewing. And I was like, I'm going to reach out to this guy because at that point we didn't know who the Long Island
It
serial killer
just
was.
turns out he was the murderer.
Yeah, the whole time.
That's why he knew where the bodies were. And they were like, wow.
Of course I know where they are. I'm a psychic.
And then the cops. That's actually a funny. That sounds like it'd be a plot for a South Park episode.
Yeah.
The psychic is the serial killer, and he's just like, I'm seeing this, and like, wow, he's getting it every time. And then Stan would be like, maybe he knows where they are because he's involved. What do you mean? He's a psychic.
The killer was wearing Air Jordans. And his
Yeah.
Air Jordans on right now. Like, oh, what's going on with this? This guy is weird. No, but I think something's up with 2024. I don't know. It's hard to envision what the world will even look like.
I mean, that's what I've been saying. Like, there are certain things you can predict. Like, hey, the economy is good, so we think this is going to happen. But now it's kind of like, I have no idea.
Yeah. I'm getting correct in the chat. It's Project Looking Glass.
Looking Glass.
What was that?
Thank you.
That's the that we're trying to remote viewing or see through things.
yeah.
And there's some dude who like which I've seen this. I've actually looked at myself. I was really intrigued by it. Some dude apparently was able to draw out the schematic of a Soviet sub. But there's been some stipulations to whether it's actually a Soviet sub because it could have just been taken by
Operation
spies and
Looking
then
Glass.
redone.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that was Command and
maybe a different
Control.
one.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was Stargate.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I also
Yeah.
think there was
The names are all
actually
like
a
wild
number-
names.
I
like
also
this.
think there's a
like
number
Mockingbird,
of
etc.
that
Mockingbird
went
was
on.
yeah. Mockingbird was like internal.
That was the media, wasn't it?
Yeah, media
that's when-
control, right.
Yeah, the CIA took over the media.
Yeah.
At least openly when they told us about it.
Oh yeah.
The Stargate Project. U.S. Army unit established in Fort Meade, Maryland. Oh, that's not that far away. To investigate potential psychic phenomena in military and domestic intelligence applications. What if the reality is they actually discovered how to unlock psychic powers and we're just like, we better not tell anybody?
Dude, I that's what What If History I talk about sometimes. He did a project or a video the other day where he talked about the CIA discovering the spirit world, and then he talks about this. It's not my video.
Wait, really? When did he put it out?
Was this weekend, like Saturday night, I think. It
Really?
was. Yeah.
Oh,
for
wow.
real.
I want to watch that. The
talk-
CIA
Sick.
discovered the spirit world.
Did he
Yeah,
talk about
literally,
mystery,
literally.
Did he talk about mystery schools and portals?
I don't know. I haven't actually watched.
Let's have
it
him
yet.
come on the
Yeah.
Culture World. Just
Yes.
talk about the CIA finding the spirit world.
Dude, I would love to do that. That's sick.
I've heard from someone who she's in the Inverted World 1 book where she was at a portal at a mystery college and they brought a beast through, she said, and unleashed it onto the universe.
A beast?
A beast like a I don't know, a demon, or to her it looked like a dog.
Wow, sketch.
What's
She's
your
like running around like.
Just unleashed into the world.
Was
In
it,
my
was,
mind,
it,
I
was, it,
imagined-
was it a pit bull? Because that would explain a lot.
I was envisioning the dog from Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. The gate.
Rick Moranis had to deal with.
Yeah.
Do you think the CIA discovered the spirit world, Kara? Because you're a Catholic, so I need you to weigh in.
So
here.
I obviously I do believe in the supernatural. I don't
And
know.
that's what I mean by that. It just
Yeah.
means that
Oh,
there
yeah,
is
well,
or not there is like another.
Stop
part to reality.
mansplaining to her on International Women's History Month or whatever we're doing.
Oh man.
No, you're good. I do know for myself, I do believe that sometimes demons will try and give people stuff to make them fall deeper into things that they may think, for example, oh, I'm communing with a deceased person, or I'm communing with this spirit body that's a good spirit body, and see, look, because real things are happening that it told me it would. But I find that demons can do that to lure people further into the occult and other. It is weird, right? In the White House, a lot of the first ladies, I think even Hillary Clinton, at least it's been reported, I don't know if we know for sure, would have seances, right?
Mary Todd Lincoln.
Yes, all the way back to even
all the
her as
time.
well. So it's one of those things that it sounds silly, right? It sounds like, oh, everything's a conspiracy theory. But then you look and go, oh, but they were.
No, literally everything
It's someone
is.
like me who believes in that stuff that you don't want to get involved with that. I look and go, ooh, yikes.
I just saw the movie Noah, literally just earlier today. It was like on Netflix, and I'm like, oh, look at that. It's got Russell Crowe.
Right.
Have you seen it?
No.
I'm like, is this legit the story of Noah's Ark? Because it's wild.
Well, the story of Noah's Ark, I believe, is
Well,
true
so
for
like,
sure.
my understanding, because I went to Catholic school, so the story that I heard was not what the movie is.
Well, yeah,
The movie's
that's
crazy. Like the children of Cain raise an army to try and raid, and then angels that are trapped in molten form are throwing chains and fighting people, and then the descendant of Cain stabs one of the angels in the heart and it explodes into a being of pure light energy. And I'm just like, is that in the Bible somewhere? Because that's
not in the
crazy.
translations I've seen.
embellishments, yeah.
Yeah, they
And
took
then
some
like
liberties there for
the descendant
sure.
of Cain sneaks aboard the ark and fights Russell Crowe, fights Noah.
Dude.
For real?
Yeah,
No, Russell Crowe's not in the Bible. I know that one.
they call
Wait,
God
for
the
real?
creator the whole time. It's just like,
Nah, dude.
yeah, dude,
Who did that
was
movie?
wild.
I forget.
I
It
don't
was,
know. Like Emma Watson's in it, and Russell Crowe is in it, and Jennifer Connelly. Who else is in it? There's like a bunch of people in it, and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure this is not what happened in
Oh,
Noah's Ark.
it's an Aronofsky film. That's why.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's like a soft David Lynch. That's how I was saying.
it's kind of
Soft
funny. They're like, can we do the
Wow.
story of Noah's Ark, but make it like an action-packed thriller with conflict and magic and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
he usually puts biblical themes in his movies, so I guess he just went for a biblical one because he did that movie where they're all in a house and people keep coming to the house, which is kind of like, in a way, I think his telling of the Old Testament in his mind. So that was his chance to tell the story of Noah, which is not the story I know.
Yeah.
Well, I know, don't they say that something about ayahuasca, the drug that people claim that they see some spirit world as well? And I know the CIA did a lot of experiments with drugs, right?
LSD
They
and
would
DMT.
dose people who didn't know, right? Also Operation
Yep.
Midnight Climax in
That's
San
right.
Francisco, and then watch people through the double mirror, the Johns who were unwittingly pulled in and dosed with drugs. So maybe they discovered a spirit world through all sorts of
I totally,
heavy drugs.
Totally think so.
After watching this movie, I was kind of thinking like, I bet the story of Noah's Ark was just, like a storm was coming, and this guy was convinced, and everybody was like, you're crazy, and they made fun of him. And he built like a moderately sized boat in his yard, and they were like, what are you building this boat for? And then he brought 2 of every animal that humans had at the time. So it's like 2 chickens, 2 goats, 2 cows. And he was like, we're gonna get 2 of every animal from over there and bring them on. We're gonna leave the rest of the cows, the goats, and the pigs. And the boat was moderately sized for his family, and then a storm happened and there was flooding. And then the story
that's
just
Tim's
like
version. That's your movie.
I mean, my movie is actually that there's a planet facing a natural disaster which may end up wiping out humanity. So the government commissions the construction of a large vessel in space in orbit that they start loading up the DNA of all the male and female species they can to begin a terraforming project on a nearby planet, so that in the event of a catastrophe, humanity survives. And when the calamity happens, there is a small contingent of military personnel who are able to escape the Earth going into the Ark Project. Right. They then come to their in-process terraforming of this other planet, which resulted in this. When they began the terraforming process, it created an explosion of all these different species at once, which we would call the Precambrian explosion. And then when humans arrived there, they had very limited technology, and it was the Ark vessel. Right. But technology, of course, was lost, and humans were forced to come down here, and an insurance salesman's not going to know how to build a nuclear reactor. So if you took 100 military personnel of varying skills and put them on a space vessel and crash landed that on another planet, in 300 years, all technology is gone.
Right.
The descendants have no idea how to operate any of this stuff. There's only so much you can teach. So that would be the movie I made.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be a fun movie. We should just make it.
It's kind of similar to, wasn't it Bill Barr's dad wrote some sci-fi book in the 70s about some spaceship, and there'd be all these women and men, they'd be,
I vaguely remember
cryogenically
this, yeah.
frozen, I've been watching obviously a lot of Martyr Made. Daryl Cooper, shout out to him. And he wrote about him. Basically, I think one of the guys unfreezes and there's some lady and she has a lot of money and power, and then something about breeding the people on the ship to repopulate to populate some other planet. And it's very similar to how the Jeffrey Epstein Ghislaine Maxwell story played out in real life, but it was sci-fi version in a book in the 70s. And then Bill Barr's dad is the one who helped Jeffrey get his first job at that elite private school that then got him into Wall Street and on from there. So
Wow.
Sci-fi.
Well, that's creepy. Let's go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and head over to timcast.com, click join us to become a member and support our work. It's $10 a month. You get access to our uncensored members only shows that are Monday through Thursday at 10 p.m. And if you must know, it was my birthday 2 days ago. And so if you want to get me a birthday present, go to timcast.com, click join us, become a member. That is the best birthday present a man could ask for. And I would greatly appreciate it because it helps us run the whole operation. We're primarily a membership show. That's how we do it. We're going to read your super chats now, so smash that like button. Let's go. All right. Harry Lawrence says, another place the Clinton initiative failed and fleeced the taxpayers. That would be Haiti. That's right. Coyle says, what do I have to do to get a picture of this barbecue guy wearing a Haiti is great already shirt?
I think you just have to ask the internet. I think they can make this happen for you.
Yeah. That'd be amazing.
Noah Sanders says, happy late birthday, Tim. Could I get a birthday shout out for my 29th year? I also want to shout out Serge and Kellen for hanging out in West Virginia. Great times. Happy birthday, Noah Sanders. 29 years old. Right
Happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday.
Jacob Parody says, happy Monday. I would like to urge everyone to go to Life Site News, scroll until you see the petition calling for the excommunication of Biden for his abortion stance. I think everyone should sign. I love how Biden claims to be Catholic. It's like, come on, dude, Catholics don't believe you.
But he also was raised in like an African American church or something. I mean, he's really just whatever religion will get him the votes, I think.
Oh, it's the comment I've been waiting for. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Tim, I watched Poor Things over the weekend. I would never, ever thought this movie would be even close to being Oscar worthy. Not even a little bit. So Emma Stone, right? Yeah, she won the Best Actress at the Oscars for Poor Things. Have y'all seen that movie?
No.
It's porno. I'm not kidding. And I'd argue like arguably hardcore. Emma Stone, full frontal, full nudity, showing everything. Like,
what is the plot?
A woman commits suicide and a mad scientist finds her literally right at the point of death before rigor has set in. And so he resuscitates her, but replaces her brain with the baby. She's pregnant. He takes the baby's brain, I guess, and puts it in the body of the mother, creating a baby in an adult mother's body. And then...
Are you messing with me right now?
No.
That just sounds pro-pedophilia.
Right?
Yeah,
and
they
so
really like that stuff,
the whole
right?
movie is Emma Stone's character discovering sex. So there's quite literally a scene where...
But she's a baby.
Within
Dude,
like
that's so gross.
Within 10 minutes, Emma Stone is taking a cucumber and... I'm not kidding. She's sitting in a chair, pulling her legs up and grunting, and they show it. They don't show the full, but she's they show her doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it makes no sense because the argument is that because she's a baby, she talks weird, but she makes up things. She calls sex furious jumping, which is is that an artistic thing? Like, if the point is she describes things in weird ways, trying to understand things, she wouldn't say furious jumping. She would call it sex. When she asked someone what it was and they said it was sex, she'd say sex. Yes, like that. She calls it working herself. Basically, there's probably, I don't know, realistically 13 solid minutes of hardcore porn. I'm not exaggerating. There's a scene where Emma Stone is buck naked, hands against the wall, pressed. You can see everything, and a guy's hitting her from behind. There's a scene where she's straddling Mark Ruffalo, grunting and moaning for 15, 20 seconds. You can see everything. You can't see Mark Ruffalo, but you can see her.
This whole time.
You can see her junk. You can see her fully nude on top of him. She's thrusting and rubbing against him.
That whole time, there's a baby's brain.
Yes.
In her. So this is like...
This is if a baby discovered sex in a woman's body.
This is really disturbing.
So that's about pedophilia, yes?
It's like if Bride of Frankenstein was written by Jeffrey Epstein.
Ooh.
That is so disgusting.
Dude, that's weird. I knew what this you were talking about earlier before
I had
the show,
no
but
idea.
I had no idea that was part of it. That it was
idea.
a baby's
and it won
brain or
the
whatever.
Oscar. It's the Oscar.
That's
winning
crazy.
Award.
That's crazy. Dude.
I feel like that tells us all we need to know about Hollywood right now.
A perfect reflection of how deranged they are.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, okay, right. So, A guy falls in love with a woman who is a childlike young woman, and it's revealed that the doctor replaced the woman's brain with that of her unborn fetus, resulting in her having an infant's mind.
Dude, that's straight up evil.
Dude,
that's straight up evil.
That's gross and weird.
Who wrote this? I gotta look this up. This is insane.
It's like a book from the 90s.
And everyone was like, good choice.
There's a
Like
scene
this.
where Emma Stone walks in the room and then just takes her clothes off and stands there for like a few seconds, totally naked, full frontal, everything. I'm pretty sure you can see Mark Ruffalo full frontal if that's what you're into. There's numerous scenes of Mark Ruffalo and Emma Stone doing it full. I would call it hardcore. It's not softcore. It's definitely not. Like you can actually watch Mark Ruffalo suck on her nipples. So it's like, I'd call it like hardcore porn. Dude. And it won 4 Oscars.
It's like pedophilia, necrophilia.
She becomes a prostitute.
Gross, dude.
And she works in a whorehouse.
My lord.
It was literally one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
So sick.
And what does it say about all the actors who read this script and were like, baby and adult woman's body and multiple sex scenes? Like, this sounds good, like art. Like, no one was like, I don't want to be involved with these themes in this product.
Do you think, because we were talking about the pedophilia themes earlier, do you think they're trying to do like the Dr. John Money idea that even infants, that we're all sexual beings from birth and that you can't inhibit that no matter how young or what age or anything
That does
else?
appear to be the theme of the movie.
So there's like a scene where she's trying to shove an apple. You know what I mean? Like she takes an apple and then tries to, and she gets caught by like the housekeeper, and then she says, "Why are you trying to stop me from being happy?" or something like that.
See,
And then she's like, "Wait, I got an idea," and she grabs a cucumber, and then and they show it all.
When did this movie come out?
December.
They really snuck that in there, didn't they?
Yeah,
I guess. So I'm
That's
on.
gross
So it's Saturday.
and
It's like
weird.
it was. I watched it on Friday night actually. I'm hanging out with my girlfriend Allison, and we're watching, and I was like, all right, well, we'll watch whatever this is, and it seems kind of weird. I didn't know what it was, and it looked like some weird fantasy. It was like Victorian era, kind of seemingly steampunk in a weird way. And then I was ready to turn it off right away.
Yeah, dude.
We were both like, this is awful.
They consider it a sex comedy.
Really?
Yeah, that's so funny.
What?
I was laughing.
It's porn.
Yeah, I
it's
was
not,
laughing the whole
there's nothing.
time.
There's nothing funny in it. I would say this, like,
Wow.
I'd be willing to bet on Pornhub they have all the scenes from the movie because it's literal
that's so
porn.
crazy.
I mean, like, I'm not kidding. Mark Ruffalo, we said it. I know it's not really family friendly at this point, but like sucking on Emma Stone's nipples while she's straddling him, and you can see her genitals and everything, and she's groaning.
On
and rubbing.
Wikipedia, the plot says at the brothel, she comes under the tutelage of Madame Sweeney and begins a relationship with another prostitute who introduces her to socialism.
Yeah. Yes.
And then in the next
then they-
So we're
sentence,
indoctrinating
right, in the next
babies
sentence-
with sex and socialism.
in the very next sentence, Godwin, now terminally ill, as if the socialism did it,
Oh yeah.
but I'm not sure. Asked Max to, I can't, this is insane. I can't believe
Yeah.
there's anything like that.
Dude, she won the Oscar?
Yeah. Best actress.
Dude.
And it was like there's no acting.
Playing a baby.
there's no
that has
acting in the
sex
movie.
with men.
There's no acting in the movie at all. So, I don't blame the actors for this. I blame the director. Because people got to cut actors some slack. If an actor is told to read something, here we got some M&M bag. It says, that's definitely a good mix. How would you read the sentence, that's definitely a good mix? If you gave a script to an actor and said, read that line for me, they'd go, that's definitely a good mix. Okay, that was in response to someone, mixing chemicals and making a bomb. And it was supposed to be sarcastic, but you didn't know that because the director is supposed to be the one telling you. Right. So it feels like in this movie, they were given a script and said, just read the lines. And so what they're saying is almost disconnected.
Wow.
Mark Ruffalo, like they're not even speaking English. It's like a weird fake artistic fake. I can't even describe. It's not real words.
They're making that movie. They're like, we're totally gonna win an Oscar for this.
Yep.
They know it. They say this is an Oscar like performance.
Yep.
Yeah, they knew about it before.
Oh, they always do.
They knew.
They
Yeah.
always do. They're so sick.
Who is
All
they?
right. Well, let's read some more super chats. We've got Shane H. Wilder says, happy birthday, Tim. I didn't know what to get the dude who has everything, so I got a meme of you lighting birthday candles with laser eyes. Very nice, thank you. But you can get me a boat, a big one, like, 80-footer. I could use one of those.
Also
Actually,
an ocean.
I would never
he wants
want
his
that.
own ocean.
I don't want a boat. The reality is you never want to own a boat. You never want to own a private plane. What you really want to do is rent a boat the one time of year you might consider going on a boat. And it's like a couple grand. You get I think we've booked like we have a video with like Alex Stein, and we're on this big boat and we're going through Miami. I think it was like $8,000, and we had like 30. No. Yeah, we had like 20 something people on it. So like the cost really breaks down. If you're getting all your friends together, it's not that expensive for everyone to pitch in to get a boat to go out for the day, or even like it's like all day and you go swimming and they've got jet skis and everything. That's really how it's done. Like, why would I want like the person who buys the boat for $15-20 million or whatever and then maintains it is only able to use it a couple times a year, and then they charter it out to cover the costs. So that's all it ever really is.
So much upkeep on that.
Yeah, so in reality, just become a member at timcast.com. That's a great birthday present. Let's go. SM69 says, leftists, gender norms are oppressive and should be abolished. Also leftists, if you are attracted to someone who doesn't adhere to gender norms, you're gay. Yeah, so was it Hannah Barron is her name? I never heard of her, but she's got 1.5 million followers on Instagram, big on TikTok. And she's like, I don't even think it's fair to call her a tomboy. She's a young woman who is fit, wears tight yoga pants and full makeup and everything, but she like catches catfish and she like builds stuff, and she's from Alabama. She's got a southern accent. And the big controversy was that she's a tomboy, so she's a man, and if you are attracted to her, you are gay. And I'm like, she's wearing makeup. She's clearly a woman. She's very feminine. She's like in a swamp catching catfish with full makeup on.
Right. Yeah. And they're like, oh, she's a woman that's like dominating the male industry. I'm like, yeah, because she's a pretty girl doing a job that most guys don't even do in the first place.
And they're interested in that content anyways.
Yeah,
and
I don't understand. Like, they would
girl.
probably go noodling where you're like catching catfish with your hand too. And
That's
like
what it's
that's
called,
probably
noodling?
Yeah, literally. That's probably what they saw, and they're like, well, this girl's cool. I'll follow her. Like, this is content I'm interested in, like you said. And now it's just
like when
apparently
Sydney
it's not
Sweeney
feminine or
got that
whatever.
like Ford commercial, because she apparently has an old Bronco or something she's fixing up, and then she like posted about it on Instagram, and then Ford brought
She's
her
a
in.
man.
Yeah, being attracted to her means that you're a man.
Well,
that is a left
Although I know
take,
Sydney
right?
Sweeney's looks are controversial on the internet, and I'm not
Ladies, if your husband cooks dinner for you, he's a woman.
Yeah, facts,
You're gay. That's how it works in leftism.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
since so many of the criticisms are coming from the right, it's the right shooting itself in the foot, because on the one hand, like you're saying, if tomboy equals boy, well, then that means a guy putting on makeup is now a girl.
Equals
So you
woman,
just made
yeah.
that argument, the trans argument, which we should not be making.
Right.
No, but it's not conservatives defending the argument.
Well, the first one I saw was a woman who at least, well, okay, not conservative, you're right, but red pill, manosphere, that
Right.
type. They will say conservative adjacent oftentimes.
No, they're leftists.
True, exactly. That would be my argument. But they would try and present themselves as traditional, and so at least adjacent to conservative. But you're
Well,
right.
look-
They're very liberal.
Look what
exactly.
Andrew Tate said. Andrew Tate has a viral video where he said, Hulk Hogan, but with girl parts, or Megan Fox with boy parts, which would you rather do? And if you said Hulk Hogan, you're gay, because that's like a guy. And it's like, but you're talking about just hooking up with a guy who looks like a chick. But he has that video. So like, I think the manosphere guys, red pill guys are they're very leftist. You know, it is. It's funny because people argue they aren't, but they literally tell guys not to get married.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not a right-wing position. Like the traditional conservative right is like, get married, have kids.
Yes. And it's all about, it's basically what feminism, at its worst is, but for the male version, it's not about the complementary nature of the sexes and working together. It's about hating the other. And then so those at least who will see themselves as being on the right, who are launching some of these main attacks, then the idea when they talk about traditional norms is like, well, what do you mean by that? Do you mean your caricature of an advertisement you saw circa 1955?
Totally,
Because that's not actual femininity either. Women for millennia up until, very recently were working heavily with their hands and working in the home and working side by side with their husbands in the butcher shop. They still worked hard, but they also had feminine roles, but were hardworking roles. So there was both the gender split, but also the hard work. And I know a lot of that started to change with the Industrial Revolution. Mary Harrington is phenomenal at explaining this. I know there's many other great women as well who are able to explain the shifts and why we saw the burst of feminism in the way that we did. But again, the idea that being a woman just means sitting down and looking pretty and having men do stuff.
It's
for you.
ridiculous to me. Because
Fake.
remember World War II? Who built all those bombs? Who built all those planes? Who built all that stuff? It was
Rosie the
pretty much
Riveter.
Rosie
So it's
the
not
Riveter, that's the
traditional.
thing.
It's actually a fake modernist.
It's fake.
It's a fake
I hate to
modernist
try to call
idea.
stuff that's like fake like this because it's not real.
And I take
It's
it
not
so
real.
seriously because I'm a very conservative woman and I'm trying to, I want a lot of kids, getting married. So I'm trying to live the more traditional lifestyle. So that's why it grinds my gears to go online and to see women who at least proclaim to be trad and what they say and what they do, I'm like, that's not it at all. Because to me, I take it personally. Because I'm like, I want to live my life more so like that, so I take it a little more personal, I guess, in that way.
Totally.
Jay Turbo says, while the U.S. is letting Haitians in with no vetting or border protection, the Dominican Republic ended birthright citizenship and is building a wall on the Haitian border. Make America Dominican.
Wow.
What a concept.
there you
Building
go.
a wall, ending birthright citizenship.
They
It's like,
sound
we could
xenophobic.
do these things
It's
too.
super xenophobic too.
Yeah.
The Chinese built a wall. No one talks crap
Who is
about
their
that.
president? Trump?
Yeah. Was it a good wall?
Michael
mean, it
Thompson
works.
says 2 questions. What does the 100 VIP get us if we're not in the area? I'll answer that one first. So that's the elite club that we have. It's a special tier in the Discord server where you're hanging out with people who are also paying $100 per month. The idea for it is that as we expand the company, that tier of membership gets you privy to access to like everything. So the first thing we had was we launched Discord. We created a special Discord just for the elite members, and that's it. The second thing, and the big thing, is the physical location gets you a key card. You can come, beep, door opens. You can come in and hang out at your leisure. To start, I think it'll probably just be something like, opening at 9 a.m. and closing at like 10 or 11, but you can come at any time you want. There'll be drinks and snacks. The membership is not for us to make a profit. It's so that we can hire people to run the club. So there can be drinks and snacks and games, and we can maintain it and repair it. The goal is just to create a social space where people can organize and talk to each other and meet each other. And so what ends up happening is there'll be a guy who's like a really great artist, and he meets another guy who's like, I really have this great idea for a comic, but I need an artist. And then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, hey. And then they make a comic. You've got to meet people and come together to network and build these things out. That's the plan. But the plan for anyone who's not in the area would be, when we do events, there's going to be special elite member access to these events if it comes to your area. It is what it is. I mean, we're building it out. So we started with it. It was not even my idea to make, but I think it was a good idea. And then we launched the social club. So maybe it's not for you right now, but maybe eventually there will be something. And the other thing too is we're planning on the RNC, but it might be cost prohibitive. But it could be something like that where we might announce, hey, you know what? We realized we're going to do a show next month, elite members only, and it's going to be like 10 or 15 people in the live audience when we do the show, but we're there for something for some reason we have to be. And maybe that's, you want to get access to these emails and access to that stuff. But the other thing is, it just, all the memberships are basically like, you like what we do, so you're paying what you will to support our work. We have people who give us substantially more than that for literally no reason. Just like the reason is they like the show, they want us to do more. So entirely up to you. For my birthday, become a member, $10 a month. Join the Discord server, hang out with people. I think $10 a month for the Discord server is way worth it. It's ridiculous.
It's wild.
I recently had someone say, "Wait, you do members only segments every day?" And I was like, "No, just Monday through Thursday." And they were like, "You do it 4 times a week?" Most podcasts do 1 bonus episode a week or a month. And I was like, "Oh, why don't we do them Monday through Thursday?" And then the Discord server has extra content as well, because the members in the Discord server are making shows. There's an early morning show, there's a pregame show, there's an after show. So certainly worth the $10, I would say. Shout out to the Discord community for Timcast members, because you guys are awesome.
They're incredible.
And also, you get to call in. So if you if you watch the Members Only Uncensored, we do call-ins. So you can submit a question during the show to ask us or the guest whatever you want to ask. And there's a vetting process, but we bring about 4 or 5 every night. Usually 4. Let's go. Political Overwatch, I want to say thanks to you for inspiring me to do something. I started a YouTube channel and talk politics and news. Happy belated birthday, Tim. And if you could shout out the channel. Thanks, Tim. Is it Political Overwatch? Because shout out to your channel. Best of luck, good sir. Jason Dixon says, Tim, Bitcoin is now over $72,000. I'm so rish bish. And Ethereum is over 4K. I think Bitcoin will probably spike to 200,000 before dropping back down to 80. I'm not telling you to do anything on that. That's not advice. But if you look at the trends, like it jumps to 60,000, it went to 69,000, then dropped to 19,000.
Yep.
So like a fourth of where it was, around 200K. And then what happens is a bunch of people try to realize their gains, miners and other industry professionals. They'll do a big sell-off, and then it'll stabilize probably around 80K. And it's because the technology is expanding. I would say with El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as a national currency, it is anchored now. This Bitcoin is going nowhere.
Yeah.
It is a functional technology and tool that has tremendous use case and is expanding in use and investment. The confidence is there. You get these financial guys who are like, what's Bitcoin worth and why? And I'm like, what's gold worth and why? People value gold and people value Bitcoin. Like, there's not an argument. If someone makes something that is scarce and valuable, I'll just put it this way. If you treated Bitcoin like a bank account, it's the best bank account in the world. You get a paycheck and you're like, well, I don't need to use it right away. So you just deposit into, I don't know, like Coinbase or something. A week later, you're going to have like 40, 50 more bucks. Yeah. And then you withdraw it to pay your rent. You just go withdraw. Or actually, you just send the Bitcoin to somebody.
Yeah. The returns are way better than any savings account ever.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. If last year you were like, instead of putting money into a bank, I'll just put it into Coinbase. Wow. I mean, jumping from like, it was at like 18 and now it's at 72. Imagine your paycheck jumping 4 times its value. So I've got high yield savings account and it's like I've made a couple grand over the past year or something like that. If I just put that, if I was thinking about it, I'm like, man, if I just bought Bitcoin with it, it'd be like $1 million or something.
Story of my life last 10 years has been like, man, if I didn't wish to just bought Bitcoin like 5 years ago, it's like, maybe it's time you should buy some Bitcoin eventually. Probably wait for the halvening. Again, this is not financial advice. Please don't take this, but you should eventually buy some Bitcoin at some point lose money in your life. Yeah.
I don't know, man. All I can say is when Bitcoin first hit $5, I was like, wow. Cause I was like, I was like, wow. And then when it hit $20, I was like, I'm done. Bitcoin at $20, it was like 70 cents when I first got into it. So I sold, I made $400 and I was like, dude, I got $400. Let's go eat. And we went out to eat and everything. That 20 Bitcoin, what is that today? $1.5 million.
Yeah, so much now.
That's crazy. I had a computer with 21 Bitcoin on it, broke in a fire, threw it in the garbage. I didn't care. Bitcoin was worth like, it was like 18 bucks.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, that sucks. I lost $1,000 computer. I don't care about the $18 that was on it. Now I think about it. I'm like, wow.
Now you're like, oh no.
That $1.4 million just somewhere's gone forever. Gone forever, out of circulation. That's a wild thing about Bitcoin. Coins just disappear and they're gone forever. But then it's $100. And I kept saying throughout these years, because everyone thought it would cap out. It's like $100 is like, it's crazy for a $100 Bitcoin. Why would anyone spend more than that? Finally, when it was at like 1,000, I was like, I'm just going to buy a bunch. Whatever, man. Now I'm very happy. 72x, just sitting there. I've never touched it. And because the story I tell people is that when I was going to spend $5,000 on Bitcoin in 2011 and decided not to, I still have that $5,000. I never spent it. And it is worth probably a third of what it was worth, 13 years ago when I was thinking about buying Bitcoin. And if I had bought Bitcoin with it, I would have, oh man, let's do some math. I would have sold at $20, no question. You buy 6,000 Bitcoin for 70 cents. When it's $20, you sell. Otherwise, you're nuts. But let's do this. Let's see. It would be $487 million.
Would you get a boat then?
No, I would not get a boat then.
Still not get a boat.
I would still not get a boat. I would still not get a private jet. If I was going to get a jet, I'd buy net jets, which is where you like buy a portion of a fleet and then you can just schedule whenever you want. Right. You got to pay fee. You got to pay for fuel and stuff.
The landing fees and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all on you.
Yeah.
But I think the big secret is like I couldn't imagine. I suppose if you're Bezos or Elon Musk doesn't even have this stuff. It is not fun to buy a massive $100 million yacht. It's a company that has to be run by numerous people. You got to manage it, then you get lost. Dude, we talk about like the Netflix guy who got fired for saying the N-word in a meeting where he was like, these are the words you can't say. Imagine that, but for your boat. Imagine you're like, I just want to go on a boat vacation, but you can't because it's a company and you got to sign all the paperwork for it. It's nuts. I can't imagine why anyone would want to do something like that. It makes more sense to hire a management company and like you buy a boat and you give it to them. You guys are in charge. You do whatever you want. And then they charter it out. Yeah. And then you get a piece of the revenue. Yeah. Actually buying it and trying to, nah. All right, let's grab some more super chats. Let's go. Where are we at?
I want to get to the point where people are like, no, invest in horses. Like all these cars are going down off the grid, so you're going to need a way to get around. Yeah. So buy more horses.
Yeah, bring back horses. Bring back the cavalry.
Also, my Dogecoin is up.
Nice.
Where am I at with Doge? I think I'm up a couple $100.
I sold all my Doge a while back. Long time.
I bought Doge a long time ago, and
I know.
Yeah, I'm up.
I needed the money then.
I'm up 30% of my Doge.
Nice.
And I'm not gonna sell it. I don't know. I don't care. All right. Extra Pretty Lady says new Berkeley gun shop inside Av's Lock and Key showroom in Hedgesville celebrates with or without free layaway. Oh, how about that? Free carton of Freedom Seeds with any new one. Shout out. Extra pretty lady, thanks for the super
It's
chat.
inside the locksmith shop? That's wild.
In Martinsburg, they got a gun store in the antique shop.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That's great.
I know
right
where
next door.
the lock shop's talking about is.
Does Hunter Evelyn still live next door to us?
I don't know. That's not the.
We should have invited him to the event.
Yeah, he's like literally next door.
Yeah, Hunter Avalone lives like 3 houses down from the Casper
He used
location.
to. I don't know if he's still there.
Yeah, maybe he left. That was crazy.
Kind of.
I feel like I would move
experience.
because your whole
A guy
Yeah.
tried to
Yeah.
kill you.
yeah.
I'd
well,
leave. Nah.
you know.
Well, it depends how much you like it here.
He was
I'm not leaving.
wrong. He claimed the officers got. I can't remember exactly what happened, but he claimed officers got injured, and I called and they said no one got injured, and then he said he was told they did, and I'm like, well, the follow up says they didn't. But it's funny that people were attacking him, saying he didn't almost get killed. I'm like, that guy was trying to kill him.
Yeah.
I thought people were mad because it seemed like people were accusing him of like putting his girlfriend in front of
I
him
think
in
that's
the
so
shooter
dumb.
or something.
That's not what happened.
I don't even. I think that's so silly too.
Yeah.
It's like the man should step in front of the woman, but he's trying to kill the man, not the woman.
Right.
He wants the woman to kidnap
Yeah.
her.
Right.
So it's like, certainly don't put the woman in front of the man, but like they were both just standing back on a balcony. Look, you can rag on the guy for having dumb opinions, but like there's a guy shooting at him and blowing up the glass on the door and trying to come in and murder him. I'm not going to rag on him for not knowing what to do in the heat of the moment. He doesn't have a gun. He has no training. He's just some dude.
Yeah. You can never win on the internet.
I would say he's like, there are manlier men than him, but the only criticism I have for him is a general criticism of most men who don't have any kind of tactical training, don't have guns, don't take any of that stuff seriously, don't have a bug out bag, don't even have a secondary plan of escape. Like, what happens if there's a fire? What door are you going to exit through? So a guy goes to his front door and shoots it, and they're on his balcony like, oh no, we're trapped. And I'm like, see, that's stupid. Where's your rope ladder? I'm not even kidding.
Right. Yeah,
You
seriously.
live on the second floor. I think that's on the third floor.
Yeah.
You should have a rope ladder or a rope or something you throw down in the case of a fire to escape.
Yeah. There's no fire escape. Like,
I
bro,
guess not. Yeah.
that's sketchy, man.
Yeah.
Just already.
But still, like people ragging on him, like, I don't know, man. All right, let's see what we got. We'll grab a couple more here. Let's see. Legama says there were plenty of black people in 18th century Vienna. You literal white supremacist. I also think we should honor Brother Talcum X with his reversion to the religion of mostly peace. He is now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Nice.
All right, everybody. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and head over to timcast.com. Click join us, become a member to support our work directly. We'd love to see you over on the Members Only Uncensored show. It's coming up in about a minute or so. And again, smash the like button. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL everywhere. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow me personally at Timcast. Follow me on Instagram or X or whatever. Gary, do you want to shout anything out?
Oh, yes. OAN Live, the app. That's where you can watch my show, video on demand. So if you don't catch it that night, you can watch it another night or anytime, morning. You can also follow One America News on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all the same old. And you can also follow my personal page. It's Nefertari_25 because ancient Egypt rocks. Thank you.
I get it.
It's been awesome having you here. I'm so glad you could join us. I'm Hannah Claire Brimla. I'm a writer for scnr.com. It's the best news ever. Forget One America. No, I'm just kidding. You can follow all of our work at Timcast News on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to follow me personally, I'm on Instagram at hannahclaire.b and I'm on Twitter at hcbrimlo. I'm profiling women who have harmed other women for Women's History Month. So those are coming out, I think, on Fridays.
Awesome.
Thanks for
That's
being
great.
here, Shane.
It was awesome being here. You can find all my stories at scanner.com. You got books online, the 2 Inverted World series. And shout out to the Hotep Nation who had me at their event. I was at the Grifties. I got this shirt. I got the in the Hotep Nation.
sick.
Those guys were great. Alex Stein was there, Sam Tripoli. Like it was just a lot of fun. I met a lot of people who were there who watched this show and loved this show. So shout out to those guys too that I was talking to.
Yeah, and daylight savings time. It sucks. Everyone in Hawaii that doesn't have to deal with it, I'm very jealous of you. Yeah, I really don't like daylight savings times. That's all. My name is Serge. I'll see you in the after show if you remember. Cheers, guys.
All right, everybody. We will see you all over at timcast.com in about a minute. Thanks for hanging out.